Is that light better off? I think there's less glare.
Yeah. Glare. Glare's not going to bother us too much from here. Give you a nice pre-warning speech. We are on and going over video right now, so we are going through the video right now. So don't say anything that you don't want to be heard over the World Wide Web. Actually, the mic is on. I don't know if he has it streaming yet, but I said I would treat it when I get back in here as if we were streaming. Yo.
Pretty cool. You good to go?
Yeah, mic's working?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to let you know, all we're going to hear is what's right in here. Nothing outside. You won't hear anything outside.
I mean from the mic.
Yeah. I mean, no, period. All you're going to hear, well, you have a mic outside?
Yeah, I have a crowd mic
Okay.
going through there.
Because, for the most part, all you're going to hear is what you're going to hear in here. All right?
Just FYI, and we're going to have to show this to Randy. I'm sure he has something to fix it.
Yeah, no.
No, this right here is loose. The
Okay.
screw came loose.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure I can tighten.
All right.
So,
So, good to go?
yeah.
Water down, restrict my back there.
Okay, Mark, I am here. I don't have very good signal strength on my AT&T phone, so.
Not that you're going to keep an eye on it, but be keeping an eye on the same levels.
We're going to switch them out just in case. A first quarter that started out with Milan having the better of things, but unable to break on the scoreboard. Then Princeton, second drive of the ball game for the Tigers, able to respond with a 4th and goal, 1-yard quarterback sneak plunge for Colton Hartley. Then Princeton with a fumble at the 1-yard line, picked up by Jordan Eddy for a touchdown. 7-7 as we start the second quarter. Richardson handoff, right side, 24-yard line, churns to the 23. Takes about half the town of Princeton to bring him down there at the 23-yard line. First and foremost in on that tackle was Ryan Bell. Got some help on the hit from Braden Donaldson.
Well, Bell has really helped him. He missed the first, he was there the first game. He missed the next 3 games, I believe. And when Faulkner was the only guy out there, they could kind of double team him, and then Jennings became the primary target. But now with Bell out there, he not only shores it up more on offense, but that defensive end position, they can move Faulkner back to defensive back and come out a lot better.
We're 15 seconds into quarter number 2. First and 10 for Milan, the green and gold, moving from left to right on your radio dial. Motion man is Sinclair. He'll get the pitch going left side. He has to break against the grain, does so, and then tripped up at the 22-yard line. It'll go down as a tackle. Certainly not one of those good sticks that you remember at the end of the season, but Vince Jennings came up and did stop Sinclair for a gain of only 1.
Well, Sinclair is not involved in the running offense a lot, but he caught a big ball at Scotland County that really kind of livened things up, as well as made a great play from the defensive back position. So that he turned it on about midway through the year.
Milan ranked number 9 in the last Class 1 poll. The regular season back to passes Eddie. He's going to throw the ball looking for the end zone. The ball is caught about 7 yards deep in the end zone. Touchdown, Milan Wildcats. Mason Thompson came out of the backfield. He got behind the Princeton secondary, and it is a touchdown pass of 23 yards from Eddie to Thompson. And the Wildcats, for the first time tonight, have the lead. 13-7 the score with 10:57 to go in quarter number 2 from Cal Hubbard Field.
Well, they used that a couple times down here against Knox and Schuyler. It was always open in that corner. When you just keep your pass play as a play of surprise, it can work sometimes.
The extra point kick is straight through by Raul Palacios, and 1 minute, 3 seconds into the quarter. The score, Milan 14, Princeton 7. We're back to the pit with a kick in half a minute on KTTN FM 92.3.
I've got sound now for some reason. For some reason, I've now got sound. Yeah.
Did he say not much sound?
I don't know. 10 minutes and 57 seconds left to go. Quarter number 2. As along with Dennis Stevenson, Tom Johnson with you from Cal Hubbard Field. Dennis, you called it right when you said that was the element of surprise. And not a great pass by Jordan Eddy, but Thompson was so wide open, all Jordan wanted to do was get the ball to number 33, and he did.
Well, and sometimes that's what happens when you get somebody that wide open. You feel the pressure, and that's kind of what happened with the wounded duck.
Palacios with a short kick. It's going to be picked up on a knee at the 33-yard line, and if you know your high school football rules, you can't run that out off of a knee. Adam Milburn made the sure-handed grab for Princeton, although you wouldn't like to be on a knee if you had your brothers there if you're Coach Gooden. That does give Princeton good field position on the ground ball kick. Is that obviously, let's say, a planned ground ball there by Raul?
Wildcats have done that quite a bit this year. I'm not sure whether it's a lack of confidence in their kicking team because they had showed great coverage all year, and they really haven't been burned as far as I know at all. But I know that respect for both Jennings and Hartley is one of the primary reasons.
And some confidence in your defense as well. 10:55 to go, quarter number 2. Wildcats leading Princeton by a score of 14-7. Now this turns into a very important drive for the Tigers, who have trips to the near side and twins to the far as we get a timeout on the field. This one called by the Milan defense. Coach Dabney will go organize the troops over there at the 40-yard line. 10:55 to go in the second quarter. The score, Princeton trailing Milan 14-7. We're back to the pit. 30 seconds on KTTN. One of the few places that when I have a crowd, Michael, and I can hear individual conversations.
Yeah. I usually end up turning it way down because of that.
Yeah. $10:55 to go in the second quarter. Any guess that you have there for the reason for the timeout, Dennis? Just didn't like what they saw lining up?
Well, I think probably somebody missed a coverage assignment there. You could tell they weren't lining up right, and rather than take a chance on getting bird deep, they just stopped it quick.
Coach Dabney was kind of giving the leg sweep look there over that far sideline. And to be honest, I have no idea what the leg sweep from the head coach did. Get low snap, grab by Hartley. He's going to be stuffed at the line of scrimmage. We've seen this from Missouri just a couple of times this year. When you don't snap the ball well, even if it's not a fumble, it kind of messes up the timing of the play, and that might have happened there for the Tigers.
Well, all of these zone read plays, which is what Princeton's primarily running out of this spread or mini spread, kind of a pistol formation, whatever you want to call it, everything is based on timing. It's almost like running a delayed draw every time, or just enough to get the penetration, find the hole, and then go after it.
10:30 to go, first half. Cats up by a score of 14-7. Princeton looking for the response. Trips to the far sideline here for Princeton. Ryan Bell in the slot right against the line of scrimmage at the 32-yard line as Hartley waits for the snap, and we get a flag, and there's 0 on the clock. That'll be 5 going against the Tigers for delay of game. That's frustration for Coach Gooden on this sideline. The one thing that Princeton was very well known for when Coach Gooden back about a decade ago was quarterback, is they got the ball to the line of scrimmage and they knew what they were doing. They were a very well-schooled football team, and those 5-yard penalties for not snapping the ball in time, that's going to irritate the young coach.
Well, definitely, and that's one of those things that normally Hartley doesn't have a lot of problem with. I think, especially coming out of a timeout like that, you definitely want to. I guess they had a play in between the timeout, but still, you want to come up there and know what you're doing. Get it done.
Trips now to the near side for Princeton. The ball just inside the hash at the 28-yard line. Second down and 15. Hartley takes a snap, and he's going to scramble to his right. Throws the ball back across the grain. Overshot the intended target. Ryan Bell at the 42-yard line. He was open. That's a tough pass for Hartley because you're running to your right. You're throwing back against the left, and the receiver is kind of going the opposite direction from where Hartley's going, so it becomes very, very difficult to try to decipher where you need to throw that football.
Well, it's one thing if you're going out fairly, slow, just kind of rolling out of the pocket, but he was running for his life out there and trying to throw back. Did a great job even getting it close, but just a very tough play.
10:01 to go in the first half. 14-7, Milan with the lead. Here's Hartley again. He's going to look down the near sideline. Ball picked off at the 43-yard line and tackled by Faulkner at the 45 after picking the ball off for Milan is Sean Smith. The strategy there for Princeton, and it's a sound one, is Hartley saw Faulkner one-on-one, but he didn't get enough air behind that football, give Brandt a chance to go chase that down. He kind of threw it on a line, and that let Smith reach up with very good hands, and the 140-pounder plucked it out of the air for Milan, tackled immediately, and the Cats get the football first down and 10 from the Princeton 47-yard line. That was a fantastic football play made by Milan's number 81, Sean Smith.
The first game of the year, he was locked up with Faulkner every play, and there were 2 or 3 plays where he made plays like that and got called for pass interference.
Here's the handoff coming right side to the 45-yard line goes Mason Thompson. He is hit hard. Ethan Caston on the tackle along with Ethan Smith for Princeton. A gain of 2 for Thompson. Second down and 8. There was no pass interference there. That was a great play.
No, he was just one of the, of course the Milan fans thought it was questionable. One of them was definitely pass interference. The other could have went either way. But the problem is, since then, is that Smith has just really refined it. He was kind of a coming out party that game. He really started playing well. I talked to Jacob Rex, said he's been doing that the last couple of games.
Second and 8 from the 45-yard line. Handoff through the middle and breaking a tackle at the 38-yard line and ripped down by a shoulder at the 36 was the running back Aaron Richardson. And if not for that shoulder tug, Richardson might have had 6.
Oh, I don't think there was any question about it. That was a great job by Vince Jennings just to get a hold of his hand, because that's all it was. Richardson, all of his body was past Jennings but a wrist, and Jennings had the strength to pull him down.
Richardson runs like a bull moose. We were talking about his running style earlier. He doesn't look like an incredibly big back, but he runs like a big back despite being only 170 pounds.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. He runs as hard as some of the kids you'll see, 190 or 200 pounds.
8:52 to go in the quarter. Here is the run left side for Eddie. Keeps it, and he's going to be brought down at the 35-yard line. Jordan couldn't never get the shoulders turned there. He kept running to the side, to the side. He eventually lost the option there on the triple option to pitch, and when you're running to the side, you don't have that good momentum behind you. It makes you a pretty easy target, and he's brought down to the line of scrimmage by the Tiger defense.
Well, I think there was the potential there to pitch to Sinclair, but they played the option very well. I think that was kind of one of those token Wildcat plays, so they do realize they have other players out there except for Richardson and Thompson to keep Princeton honest.
2nd and 10. The handoff comes to Thompson. Right side across the 35 to the 30, make it the 29-yard line for a gain of 6. So Mason Thompson picks up 6 yards, brought down on the play by Ethan Cast along with Ryan Bell. Now Princeton, interesting defense for the Tigers. They definitely have some good speed, but they've got some, when you specifically look at Joseph Lovett at 270, but Princeton has some decent size along that front line.
Yeah, they do. I mean, Lovett's is good size, and there's a couple other guys. Mine went blank there for a second. But
Ethan Smith is 240.
Tyler Phillips is big. I mean, there's a lot of size out there.
Holding penalty goes against the Wildcats. It occurred at the 35-yard line, so that is a hurtful penalty against Milan. It puts the ball back at the 45-yard line, brings up 2nd down and 20. And for Princeton purposes, trying to get a stop here is of the utmost importance. This 2-score lead for Milan wouldn't put Princeton out of it, but it wouldn't be where the Tigers would want to be midway through the 2nd quarter.
Well, absolutely. And then Princeton can come back with the big play, but they'd love rather not have to do that.
Back to pass, Eddie. Throws the ball down the heart of the field. Should have been intercepted. The ball was woefully underthrown. Looking for Bryce Elliott. A pair of 88s there, and the 88 for Princeton, Ryan Bell. I think the fact that the ball was so underthrown surprised him. He reached up, realized he had a chance at the ball, and it clanged right off of his hands and right down to the turf.
Well, Bryce Elliott, not the fleet-footedest tight end, but he is definitely a sure-handed receiver if they could have just got the ball up a little bit. But a great defense there by Bell. Just tough to make that looking back for the ball.
Too much air under that pass for Jordan Eddy as it's 3rd down and 20. See if the Cats can pull something out here. As Eddy again back to pass. Rolls to his right. Good protection. Throws the ball down the heart of the field. That pass is intercepted by Bell at the 5-yard line. Bad news there for Milan, but there's some good news for Milan too. That kind of works as a little punt there for Milan. It goes down as a turnover and interception, which you never want if you're the Wildcats, but it's going to put Princeton all the way back at the 5-yard line.
Well, yeah, that was going to work about the same as a punt, and I think that's a little bit. They were probably going to throw a couple of big ones down there. Milan's got the kind of offense, if they get a holding penalty, it could really shut things down if they're not getting a big gainer around the end.
Well, I've been watching Trenton, as folks know, for about the last 9 weeks or so, and Trenton's kind of in the same vein. Trenton gets a holding penalty that can short-circuit things pretty quickly. From his own goal line with the ball at the 5, taking the shotgun snap will be Hartley, sends Jennings in motion. Hartley fakes to Jennings, runs it left, back to the right, and he's out to the 9. A gain of 4 yards for Colton Hartley of the Princeton Tigers.
Well, and Hartley, once again, has a good knack for finding that hole and flying through it. But that's part of that zone read where you just wait and see where the hole's at and then pick it. And 4 yards got him at least out of the shadow of the goalpost.
He's been looking for that cutback lane on that run. It really hasn't been there. He's been able to get 3 or 4 yards, but Milan's been able to fill with the linebackers those cutback lanes.
That's one of the strengths of the Cats is their linebackers. They really have a solid core there.
7 minutes to go in the first half. 14-7 Milan with the lead. Again, Jennings in motion. Hartley takes a snap. He's going to throw the home run pass down the far sideline toward Bell. He had the ball go right through his hands. It wasn't a perfect pass. It looked like Bell kind of had to half dive for that at the 41-yard line, but you can't throw it much better than that. It did hit the hands of number 88, one that probably should have been grabbed. A break for the Cats. It'll be 3rd down and 6 coming up for Princeton from the 9-yard line.
Yeah, that was pretty tough. A lot of the plays that with Hartley is he's having to wait for him to come open. The Cats have got pretty good coverage up through the 35-yard line or so, or 30 yards downfield. But after that, they start coming open.
Hartley's going to run this one. Left side gets a little bit of a crease out across the 10 and to the 12, but that's short of the first down. The crease is there, but as Dennis mentioned earlier, one of the strengths of Milan is filling the holes, and John Hopkins, Aaron Richardson in on that tackle. Milan is just one of those defenses where you think you have something going, and about a half second later you realize, no, here comes the green and gold cavalry.
Well, nobody's had much success running against the Cats this year. And throwing the ball sometimes a different story, although it looks like they may be tightening that up a little bit. the running game, nobody's had much success.
4th and 3, Faulkner to punt. Boots it from his 4. Gets a driving punt, caught by Fowler at midfield. He's back to the 45-yard line, got a block at the 40. He's up to the 40 and then whistled down at the 36-yard line by Tyler Phillips of Princeton. That was a pretty good block out there on that perimeter. It was awfully close to a block in the back. I think the Milan player there, it might have been Caleb May, just barely able to get that angle to get a little help and block for another 10 yards.
Yeah, just slightly got his head around the shoulder, but I've seen a lot of those go as a block in the back, so I was waiting for the hanky to fly.
One of those that if you're home, maybe you get that call on the road, you might see the yellow.
Could definitely happen.
1st and 10, Milan from the 36-yard line. Milan Princeton football tonight here on KTTN as the handoff goes to Sinclair around left hand. He's able to shed a tackle at the 35 to the 30. He spins at the 25 and is wrestled down at the 24-yard line. For all intents and purposes, Sinclair should have had about a 2-yard loss there. He turned it into a gain of 11 as coming over to make the tackle, Brant Faulkner of the Tigers.
Well, that was a tremendous run. He didn't generate a lot of speed, but just a good cutback at the right time. It broke several arm tackles, and I know Coach Gooden can't be happy with the tackling on that play.
We are midway through quarter number 2. We passed the 6-minute mark, 14-7. The top seed Milan Wildcats, who potentially have home field advantage through 4 rounds of the playoffs, lead here in this round 2 game. Handoff, Richardson through the middle, slices to the 21 and is brought down there after a gain of 3. Aaron couldn't ever get to full speed there as he was slowed up by the Tigers and brought down by Tyler Phillips at the far hash mark. Ball at the 21, 2nd down and 7 coming up for the Cats.
Well, Princeton's got a good core of linebackers as well. I mean, you can't give just Smiling credit on that because Princeton, that's one of their strengths is being able to stop the run too.
Twins to the near sideline here for Milan. As the handoff comes to the near sideline, the sweep play to Richardson. He's to the 10 and down to the 8. Mason Thompson, I beg your pardon, not Richardson on that carry. And he's across the 10-yard line. It'll bring up 1st down and goal for the Wildcats. There was already Twins to the near side. And with the ball on the sweep play coming to the near side, Milan just outmanned Princeton at that line of scrimmage.
Well, that's pretty well what happened right there. Thompson is just, once again, we're kind of talking about Hartley early being ready to break one, and that pretty well is Thompson at his finest right there. He gets that little bit and he can hit top speed in 2 steps.
Thompson in the wing. Richardson lined up behind Eddie. Motion man is Sinclair. Handoff Richardson. Brendan Butter right up the middle of the 5 to the goal line. He backs up and he is in for the touchdown. An 8-yard touchdown run gives Milan 20 points in a row on the board. 4:45 to go in the 2nd quarter, and Aaron Richardson has upped the Wildcat advantage to 20-7 over the Princeton Tigers. Palacios on to attempt the extra point. Nothing fancy there. If you're familiar with Coach Dabney's offense, he'd just assume they hand the ball off to Richardson and lean on that offensive line all night long to get points on the board.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, it's eventually the way Richardson pounds it into the line like that, too, it'll wear down the defensive line.
Kick by Raul is good, and with 4:45 to go in the 2nd quarter, the score is Wildcats 21 and the Princeton Tigers 7. We're back to Cal Hubbard Field in 30 seconds on KTTN. We are live tonight from Cal Hubbard Field for Missouri Class 1 District number 6 semifinal action. District number 8. That's one that maybe you could say is the toughest one in the state. The semifinals there tonight are Gallatin at Hamilton and Polo at South Harrison. You've seen Gallatin and South Harrison, Dennis, and we know Polo and Hamilton are good, so those are 4 good football teams.
Oh, absolutely. I was talking to one of the linebackers from Hamilton's dad today and talking about the game, and they were Hamilton has really got their defense tightened up right now. I don't see anybody. I think they may make a run to the finals again.
Vince Jennings takes the kickoff for Princeton, brings it back 9 yards from the 15 to the 24. And we keep on kind of setting up the particular drives in this ball game. Mentioned earlier that Princeton would be in some trouble if they fall behind by 2 scores. That's where Princeton is. You're not in horrible trouble if you're Princeton, but you really got to be able to score on this drive and be able to shed some of this Milan momentum.
Well, you can't give Milan the ball back here before halftime. So if nothing else, you got to eat up the clock and lick your wounds and go in. But a big score right here would be nice for Princeton, and they're going after it.
Hartley's going to chuck the ball down the sideline, looking for Faulkner. Makes a catch in the 45 to the 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. He breaks a tackle, and he's in for a touchdown. A 75-yard strike. Like lightning there from Hartley to Faulkner. Not poor coverage either by Milan. If you watched it on video, it was a perfect pass, and 75 yards later, we just talked about it, Dennis. What an answer there for the Tiger offense led by Colton Hartley.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And that's the potential to be there a lot. So the more field there is there, the more time Hartley's getting. That's the biggest problem the Cats have got right now is Hartley has had all day to throw on every pass play he's went. The Cats are having to take a lot of guys out into coverage, and that's leaving absolutely not enough pressure to get to Hartley. If you do that, he'll pick you up.
Well, you're right. That's one of the stories of this ball game. There has been no pressure on Colton Hartley when he's thrown the ball. Lovett's kick for Princeton, low, end over end. Not pretty, but it's straight, and it's good. 4:27 to go, second quarter. The Tigers cut the Wildcats lead in half. It's Milan 21, Princeton 14. Back to the pit in 30 seconds on KTTN. We talked about that district number 8 a little bit ago, Dennis, where you mentioned Hamilton, obviously just a powerhouse, number 1 ranked in the state in that District 8. When you get district winners, if you look at the number 1 seeds in these districts, that's where you get to the real cream of the crop. And these number 1 seeds have battles, including Milan right now, but you're looking at Milan in District 6. You got West Strand in District number 5. You got Hamilton in District number 8, and you got Wellington Napoleon. I think they're ranked 3rd in District 7. So whoever makes it to the Dome out of this little 4 district seeding here, they're going to be a whale of a football team.
Oh, yeah, there's no question about it. I was looking at that, and it's going to be a lot of good football.
Here's the kickoff to Mason Thompson. Takes it at the 10 to the 15, 25. Stays on his feet to the 30, and he stumbles out across the 30, close to the 33-yard line to match his uniform number. And right now, this game has kind of developed into a high-scoring game where it feels like the defenses have had their moments, but the offenses have kind of been able to do what they want here for about the last 6 or 7 minutes.
Well, they're both, once again, able to do pretty well. Milan's been able to run the ball pretty well as they want. Princeton has not been able to run the ball but haven't needed to, and they've got the big play threat out there all the time. Milan's almost better to have Princeton inside or, at Milan's 30 so they don't have as much room to work on those wide receivers. If that's the case, if they've got the full field of work, not getting any pressure, they're going to give up a lot of those big plays.
Richardson lined up behind Eddie. Motion man to Sinclair. Hand off to Aaron through the middle across the 30-yard line and wrestled backwards for a loss of 1. Aaron was hunting and pecking for yardage. Aaron ran into big Braden Donaldson, all 200 pounds at number 73, who wrestled him backwards like a big old steer. And it'll be 2nd down and 10. Remind you that our video coverage tonight on www.kttn.com brought to you by Rushmeyer Funeral Home Milan, Servling Home Care of Princeton and Milan, the Putnam County State Bank of Unionville and Milan, Reinhardt Auto Parts in Milan, and the Depot in Milan, by Grand River Mutual Telephone Corporation of Princeton, and by the Princeton R5 School District. 3 3/4 minutes to go in the second quarter. 21-14, Milan with the lead in the ball. And here's a sweep play going right side, breaking a tackle, then brought down by a host of Tigers is Mason Thompson. Both teams have kind of given up points here and there, but what I'm seeing from Princeton here is, yes, Milan's able to break a couple of tackles, but if you talk about what's an important thing for a defense to do, swarm to the football, we are seeing that for the blue and white.
Well, Princeton's done that all year. I mean, there's been games when they were getting blown out and just did not ever give up, didn't ever stop going to the football and making the plays. It's just right now is a crucial time. The Wildcats give that back to for Princeton right here. It could be a tie ball game.
3rd and 5, motion at the line. Princeton got back. Eddie with a handoff, and now the reverse to Sinclair. He breaks the tackle at 38, but then he's banged backwards at the 40. That's kind of a play that the former Princeton coach Dave Cavanaugh really liked in his years at Princeton. The quick little reverse there. One handoff going right side, then right to Sinclair going left, and Princeton handled that one well. It'll be 4th down and 1, and we'll see what kind of guts Coach Dabney has here. It looks like he's going for it, 4th and 1 from the 41-yard line.
Well,
this shows an awful lot of confidence in the defense.
Well, and that's kind of, as I said earlier, Princeton's got a lot better time with a lot of distance between them.
Eddie under center on 4th and 1. He's barking out the calls. Maybe Milan's just trying to get a 5-yard penalty, and that is the case. Some pretty good strategy there. You don't see that often in the high school ranks, but you and I both know this about John Dabney. He appreciates coaching at all levels. He will talk your ear off about NFL head coaches and what he's seen at the college game, and you see that all the time, and why not try that at the high school level?
Well, they've done that several times this year, and they've also given up the play in that same situation where they're on defense, and it's tremendous. But I'm sure the last thing Coach Gooden said was, "Do not jump right here." I still think Milan may go for the first down here. They really don't want to give the ball back, but it looks like
unless
they are going to punt.
Yeah, I was going to say, unless Brett Sinclair is going to go line up at the 30-yard line, 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage for no reason, we're seeing the punting formation for Milan. So Sinclair to boot the football away back deep to return for Princeton will be Vince Jennings. 2:17 to go in the second quarter. Milan leads 21-14. Here comes the boot by Sinclair. High, end over end, medium depth. Caught on a fair catch at the 26-yard line, stopping the timepiece with 2:10 to go in the second quarter. Another thing that's prevalent with these programs, more so over the last 10 years or so, Princeton just, even with low numbers, and kind of taking some licks in the GRC this year against some of the big boys in that conference, Princeton plays with pride, and I think that's one thing that we've seen Coach Dabney bring back over the last 2-3 years at Milan, is playing with that Wildcat pride.
Well, that's what it slipped, and I think that's one of the things, as you say, that's the most positive about Coach Dabney. Even if the Cats hadn't have done what they've done success-wise, you could see it in a couple, 3 years before that. They were starting to want to be here and giving all the effort every time.
21-14, Princeton down. There's a direct snap to Hartley, and he's brought down behind the line of scrimmage. He looked for that crease left side. It just never opened up, and coming up from the defensive line to make the tackle is Nathan McCabe. A loss of 3 on the keeper by Hartley. For less than 2 minutes left to go in the quarter, we aren't seeing a lot of, let's say, hustle from the Princeton offense. In fact, Princeton is going to huddle up here before they bring it to the line of scrimmage.
Well, once again, I think they're going to try to go big play if they're going to go at all, and they don't want to give Milan a whole lot of time back if they do complete it.
There's Hartley throwing the ball down the middle, incomplete. Pretty good coverage there. That would have taken a exemplary pass. Vince Jennings was all covered up by Tristan Fowler. And you might have saw this on video. Jordan Eddy was one-on-one on this near side against Faulkner, but Smith was leaning over that side. Milan wasn't going to get burned again by Brent. They were going to put a double team on him with the safety.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be the key. Is Faulkner's going to be the main target. I mean, Jennings across the middle, but Faulkner or Bell down the sidelines. It looks to be the play all night.
1:27 to go in the second quarter. 3rd and 13 for the Tigers. From the 24-yard line, low snap taken by Hartley. Good protection. Colton fires the ball down the near sideline. Flag on the play. Smith was all tangled up with Faulkner, and the flag flew a good 5 or 6 yards from where the ball was incomplete at about the 44. The flag is down at the 49-yard line of the Wildcats, and boy, I got to think that's a penalty against the green and gold.
Yeah, I heard him talking to Smith, telling him it was a holding. He did get a hand on him, kind of impeded his progress, and that's going to be the play.
That doesn't hurt you as badly at the high school and the college level as it does in the pros. In the pros, of course, it would be if it's a pass interference penalty, and it would be a spot foul. Here at the high school level, a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, and even if it wasn't going to be a first down, it's automatic first down as well, but it wouldn't. But that gives them a little better shot at getting out there. Pretty good coverage by Smith, but that's kind of the same situation he got tangled up in at Princeton. If they can get him isolated one-on-one against Faulkner out there, I think Faulkner's going to win the battle. battle most of the night.
There's been a couple of games this year, Dennis. Maybe not like this. I don't know if this has been as high scoring as this, but Milan's got a pretty good challenge. I know Schuyler County comes to mind in the first half, and then Milan just ran the opponent off the field in the second half. Is that partially Milan wearing down some people?
Well, there's no question about it. When you are a ground and pound team like they are, and Princeton's having to pass block back here for quite a while, which is a little more, use a lot of energy as well. It can wear you down.
From the shotgun, Hartley rolls to his right, throws against pressure, catch made at the 48-yard line and knocked right out of bounds there was Bell. Making the stick for Milan is Caleb May. If you're Milan, you're not necessarily happy giving up 9 yards there, but time is a factor right now for Princeton too. It's not a huge gain with a $1:12 to go, but it stops the clock, which definitely works the way of Princeton.
Well, they would have liked to have kept them in bounds there, no question about it, kept the clock running, but that's getting Princeton a little closer downfield. It was pretty good coverage. That kind of play is going to be open all night too, that little drag pass across them from the middle of the sideline.
72 seconds to go in the half. Princeton more than capable here, perhaps taking this to the locker room, tied at 21. 52 yards away from a potential tying score. Low snap taken by Hartley. Colton again looks left, heaves the ball into the direction of Faulkner, knocked away. Battle of number 10s, Jordan Eddy and Brant Faulkner, and Jordan wins that battle down at the 28-yard line. Tell you one thing too, watching Colton Hartley, I don't know if I've seen a quarterback that likes to air it out as much as Colton, but every single pass he throws 20 yards, it's just a ton of air under it. He gives his receivers a chance to go make a play.
Well, and that's what you've got to do when you've got 6'4", 6'5" receivers. There's a chance every time that they can just out jump the defensive back. Milan's getting tough on them, and the ball is actually being behind them. If they were on target out in front, they'd get them.
There's the keeper by Hartley. He will, I think, pick up the first down. He didn't need much. He didn't pick up much. He needed about a yard. I think he got about a yard and a half. It's just short of midfield. According to my eyeballs, that should be a first down for Princeton. The yard marker's at the 49. The ball is at the 49 and a half. Are they going to give it the first down? They're looking at it. They may bring out the sticks. What is usually done here? They bring out the sticks just to make sure?
Depends a little bit on the coaches, but as close as it is to far sidelines, I think they will.
You never know, too. I mean, that where that stick isn't the official. You still got to stretch out the sticks when you bring them out here, and that's exactly what they'll do. So the sticks come out from the Milan sideline, and we'll see if Princeton gets a first down or not. 49 degrees here in Milan. That wasn't as sure of a thing as I thought it was. It's a first down by about 3/4 out of the football. Our audio broadcast tonight brought to you by ServLink Home Care, Big G Foodland, the Princeton R5 School District, GRM Telephone, the Putnam County State Bank, Reinhardt Auto Parts, Rushmeyer Funeral Home, and by Owl Pharmacy. First down Princeton, 1st and 10 to go, 50 seconds, and the clock moving, left to go here in the second quarter. Hartley from the gun, Jennings in the slot left, twins to both sides as Hartley takes the snap, rolls left under pressure, and sacked at the 37-yard line. Mason Thompson was able to track Hartley, and one of the things that Colton had go against him there is right-handed quarterback. He was scrambling to his left. That makes it a little bit tougher to find the receivers and throw that football working against your own momentum.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt about it. That was going to be a tough play no matter what, and he just rolled out, and with Thompson's speed, he was able to track him down when Hartley tried to set up and throw.
Another thing there that Princeton not happy to give up the sack, but every once in a while in football, I've said this numerous times this season, you got to credit the defense, and if you're Hartley there, you don't want to throw a pick, you don't want to fumble the football, perhaps give up a touchdown the other way. The defense made the play. You got to take your medicine and try to get it here on 2nd and 22.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what you got to say there for sure.
This is KTTN FM Trenton, just past 8 o'clock here on the west side of Milan. You never made it to the pit, and this is a place that has been a long time great home field advantage for Milan, but even going back 5 years, but more so probably 10, 15 years, they've done some great things with this facility. They just gave it a refurbishing here about 3 years ago, and Milan had that tough season where they didn't have a home game until week 10.
Yeah, and it was kind of a fun thing for some of the players at first when they got to play at Truman State on the artificial turf and all that, call it their home field, but in reality, they were sure glad when they got to play here, and yeah, they've completely new bleachers, they've leveled things off, and And it's just a great facility to play at.
2nd and 22 for Princeton from the 37. We'll see if Milan gives Princeton a little bit of room underneath here with a 2nd and long situation. 33 seconds to go in the half as Hartley bends over to take the snap. Throws the ball near sideline, incomplete. It was wide of the intended target, Vince Jennings. He was open, but right against the sideline. Only 5 seconds run off the clock. There's now 28 seconds left to go. And if you're Princeton, this is an interesting little decision here for Coach Gooden. If you put the ball in the air, potentially you'd only, if it's an incomplete pass, 5-6 seconds, you give Milan the football back with a punt return opportunity. I don't know if you're Princeton if you want to be doing that.
Well, once again, it's one of those things, though, you live by the pass, you die by the pass, and I think they like their chances of being able to throw long here, so I think they'll probably shoot
It's
it
a
down.
tighter formation. Three receivers right side, all lined tightly to the line of scrimmage. As Hartley's going to roll in that direction. Comes back to his left, and he runs 35-40 to the 47-yard line. I like the decision by Colton for the reasons we were talking about before that play. He didn't see anybody open, and I don't know if he made the decision, hey, we don't want to stop the clock here. He scrambled or run the clock, and if you're Princeton, you're probably not happy down 7, but you can be very confident down 7, trying to swing what would be a big upset here going to the locker room. 1 second to go in the second quarter, and did they stop the clock? I think they did. Princeton must have called timeout. You know what the strategy is here. Princeton has those 6'4", 6'5" receivers. Here comes a Hail Mary pass, and with 1 second left to go, either there's a penalty against Milan, that would keep the half going, or Princeton gets a touchdown and a Hail Mary. So the strategy here from Coach Gooden is very sound.
Well, yeah, it is, and they didn't want to, either have to punt or take a chance on giving Milan the football back here. Milan didn't want to take timeout, although it might not have been a bad play for Milan to take a timeout as well to force them to do something here. But do you really want to force them to try a Hail Mary? I mean, it's one of those things that it would be a tough situation to get a touchdown out of this. If I was Milan, I would back up pretty far downfield and just play center field.
Haven't heard any scores from around the area as of yet. Some interesting ball games. West Platte, always a good team. They're taking it on North Platte. Well to our west tonight. I think we've made those drives over the years. I remember going with you down to West Platte, right?
Yep.
Putnam County went down there in 06.
Yeah, that was a tough Putnam County team, but also a tremendous West Platte team.
A Putnam County team that could beat anybody at the line of scrimmage, but West Platte didn't really beat you at the line of scrimmage that year.
Yeah,
They
long,
spread you to death.
long and deep, yeah.
Much like this Princeton team, like to chuck the football. 4th and 13, 1 second left to go in the half. Hail Mary coming up. Twins to both sides. Hartley's going to heave it down the near sideline. He's looking for Faulkner. The ball is off of the hands of Brandt at the 15-yard line. Even if he would have made that catch, would not have been a score, as double team efforts there for Milan. Sean Smith, with some help from the safety, able to knock that football away. We go to the end of the second quarter, and the score is Milan 21, Princeton 14. This wide open air raid attack of the Princeton Tigers has been given the Wildcats definitely a challenge here through 2 quarters of play. Milan has traditionally been a strong second half club, particularly at Cal Hubbard Field this year, but Princeton is in prime position for an upset here on the road, trailing by only 1 score as we head to quarter number 3. We'll be back with a halftime show. We'll talk a lot of football here with myself and Dennis Stevenson through the halftime festivities. Score at the break, the Milan Wildcats 21, the Princeton Tigers 14. On this Halloween night, you're listening to Missouri High School Football Playoff action on KTTN FM 92.3. We're back in 3 minutes. Couldn't catch the North Sling halftime score. You look like the cat who swallowed the canary.
I'm happy.
Other than sound.
Well, I don't
6-7. So,
No,
it looks good too.
no.
I got a couple scores for you.
Oh, fire away. I was trying to get the Marceline score.
West Rand 14, Knox County 8 at the half. South Shelby 14, Schuyler County 0 at the half.
You got a Marceline score?
I'm working on it. I can only put what people tweet. People just need to. I need to get kids to tweet from the games.
I just turned it to Crest for about 5 seconds, and they were giving a Marceline touchdown in the first half, and I couldn't tell if they said 21-0, 21-12. It was 21-12 Marceline.
Well, I'll see if I can find it on Twitter.
Okay,
Do my best.
that'd actually be the place to go. I got Twitter here. You just ask a question.
Got anything for half?
What's that?
You got anything like?
Well, you know, I was listening to Chris. They must have a heck of a setup. They got people giving first half highlights, and they're going to join live with all 3 of their stations here in about 2 minutes, and takes a lot of manpower. Before we get to the halftime scoring summary here from Kennel Hubbard Field, we'll first go over some scores from the area. We have a couple. Checking my Twitter account, trying to see if I can find more. I thought I was pretty close to getting Marceline Salisbury updates. I heard Marceline got a touchdown at least. I think Marceline leads, but don't quote me on that. In fact, I didn't hear the score nearly as strong enough to give you a score. Marceline Salisbury winner plays the Milan Princeton winner, and Dennis, this we can give people with all certainty know this. If Princeton wins, they'll be on the road somewhere going south. If Milan wins, somebody has to come here on a Monday night and try to beat the Cats in the pit.
Well, and once again, they're a lot tougher here, but you know, as Princeton shows, it can be done. But this is one of those things that if Milan can escape, it'll probably do them a lot of good for the year. But they've got a long way to go to knock off this scrappy Princeton team, because Princeton just does not say die.
There are some dominant teams in Class 1 that quite frankly have better records than Princeton does. But I don't know if anybody's going to scare you with the passing attack in Class 1. Maybe West Platte, although I've heard from some folks that they don't have nearly the passing attack and the running ball a little bit more. But you know, it's not fancy from Princeton. It's just we got athletes outside the hash marks who don't have a lot of running back depth, and Princeton's going to throw the ball their athletes. And if you're Milan, that would just scare you half to death. If you're one of those defensive backs, you really got to be on your game.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't take one play off, because it's rare that Hartley doesn't deliver the ball right on target. I mean, you've got fleet-footed receivers, Faulkner out there, you got James, you got Bell, all 3 that are very capable receivers. You start trying to deal with that situation, and you know, it's one thing to rally back and come up on the ball, but you have to guard for it every time. You can't just use a situation that looks like potentially a bluff play or something just to decoy. This one is any one of those players can make a big play anytime. You got to be totally.
Okay, I was right. It was 21-12, and I'm glad I didn't say anything more. It is Salisbury with the lead over Marceline at half, 21-12. South Shelby leads Schuyler 14-0. Look, Schuyler's not a bad little ball club this year. You've seen them play in person. I don't know if this is the best team South Shelby has had. Certainly, we saw a really good South Shelby team going back to, I think, 06 when we went over there and did that Gallatin-South Shelby game. That might be the top game that Dennis and I have seen and broadcast in person. That was a dandy, won by South Shelby. But South Shelby leading Schuyler County 14-0. What's your thoughts on that one?
Well, once again, Schuyler has got the potential, but they're not a real big comeback team. I mean, once again, down to 14 points, they don't have a lot of potential to really rally back, especially against a tough defense like South Shelby.
They're kind of pesky. So it's a good way to say they play with a lot of people, but against some of the elite teams on their schedule, they just haven't been able to break through that wall as yet.
Well, I really kind of put them in the same ship as Princeton a little bit. You give them a little confidence, you let them hang in here like Princeton's been in the first half, you got some trouble on your hands, and that's the way it's got. If they would have got a score and it was 14-7, I'd say there's a little more to worry about, but the way it is right now, I don't think there's much potential.
Here's the other score of interest. West Rand, of course, they beat Milan here last year in that wind rainstorm. And West Rand, they are getting a challenge from Knox County, 14-8. Knox County and Schuyler County, I think that those were the two teams that gave Milan their greatest challenges, and I think the two best teams in the conference other than Milan. Is there any separation between those two?
Well, it's kind of tough to say. I've had varying opinions. I personally think overall Knox is probably the better team. They were actually up on Schuyler 16-0 at halftime, and Schuyler came back in the second half and put it on. But once again, they both are sort of like the Princeton squad. If you keep them in there, you keep fighting, neither one of them give up. Milan had a tough time with both of them in the first half. In the second half, Milan came out, made the adjustments, and put them away.
We talked in the first half about how if Princeton can keep it close, Milan hasn't been in a really close fourth quarter. And we said, you know, they're high school kids. You can't ever really tell how high school kids are going to react. But here's kind of the bottom line too, and the kids are well aware of this. When it's a win or you're done, when it's that situation, you don't need to talk about how kids are going to respond. Some are going to respond differently, but there's a lot of pressure on every kid on the field at that point, particularly the seniors, because they don't want their career to end. And about 95% of the seniors that you'll hear in the game tonight, if they lose tonight, they're not playing football again.
Yeah, that's pretty well the case with most of the players at this level. And you know, as you say, this win or go home kind of situation is enough motivation on its own for most of the players. But the coaches had a way. I was talking to Coach Gooden before the game, and you know, he was talking about his win one for the Gipper kind of speech and stuff, and he said he was going to save one for right before they came out, and another one for halftime, and just see where they were at then. And I'm sure he's got something planned to really get them motivated to come out. So.
Well, Coach Gooden and I, we're kind of waxing poetic in the pregame interview. I don't know if you heard this or not, Dennis, but my first Princeton broadcast, going all the way back to 2002, Princeton went all the way out to Little Tarkio, Missouri, and I didn't know much about Princeton. I knew I was going to be broadcasting their games, and they got shut out. It didn't look real pretty in doing it. I think it was 21-0, and I thought, well, this is going to be kind of a mediocre team to cover this year. I didn't know if it's going to be a lot of fun to cover the Tigers because they struggled that night. I think it was 2 months later, Princeton was in the state semifinals playing at just a great Adrian team, and they were in the state final 2 years later. So you never know in high school football. Milan's capable of getting to that spot this year. You know, Princeton, I don't know if they're capable of going that far, but certainly Princeton, if they're able to get that passing attack going, the defense has been good enough for Princeton. They can play with a lot of people in this state.
Oh, yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, Princeton is, in that passing game, the first of the year, you kind of see glimpses of it, but it really wasn't that strong. But the one thing that really Milan has done is keep Hartley in check in the running game. As a matter of fact, he's the only one that's made a rushing attempt. Jennings can run a little bit. Most of his are hand-around stuff, and they just feel like their best shot against Milan is to once in a while slip Hartley through into his own read or to just send guys long, and that's been successful so far.
Scoring summary in the first half. Princeton opened the scoring with 4:08 to go in the first quarter and a 1-yard touchdown plunge on 4th and goal by Colton Hartley. All the extra points, 3 from Milan and 2 for Princeton, were good in the first half. 7-0 Princeton at that point. Then Princeton hurt themselves on a fumble at the goal line on a bad snap put off the hands of Colton Hartley. Milan's Jordan Eddy picked it up at the 1-yard line. He went in on the fumble recovery, tied the score at 7. 1:47 to go in the first quarter. That's the way the first quarter ended. Milan able to flex its muscles early in the second on a 23-yard touchdown strike from Eddie to Thompson. Made it 14-7 with 10:57 to go in the second. 8-yard run by Richardson made it 21-7 Milan with 4:45 to go in the second. Then 18 seconds later, the very next play after the kickoff return, 75-yard strike from Hartley to Faulkner makes it 21-14 at the break. We'll have more from the pits with our halftime show. The Cats leading Princeton by 7. We're back in 3 minutes on KTTN FM 92.3.
Anybody that you didn't or that you did mention early part of the game that might not have been when we had something glitch-wise up top too through it all, because Kim said everything's perfect.
Okay.
You might want to just
I've read these twice and I read that one once.
Okay. I didn't know. I kind of don't know how to handle this.
with the.
I'm very comfortable. I'm kind of scared.
Yeah. Well, I told him, I said, we've never had that
Still
much.
on though.
Yeah, we've never had that much problem from Milan, so knock on wood.
Yeah, but the PA system was he was having problems earlier. I don't know if you could hear it or not.
And I know he's definitely loud in my.
No, it was he was going on and off a lot. All right,
What?
nothing. We weren't talking about you.
Yeah, that Salisbury team that is playing Marceline tonight, that would play here if both teams won tonight. They were in the state final Class 2 boys basketball last year. They had at least 3 kids who were just complete studs.
At least one of them's still there.
Yeah. Like if you get the ball on a fast break, it's going to be flushed. And Salisbury brought a slew of people down to Columbia.
They'll make a slew here. We used to play down there. We played there my son's junior year. Bryce Richardson's freshman year.
Well, it might have been right about when John started here. Milan played West Rand to start the season. West Rand was bad.
They were awful. They've been bad for several years. They were good. They were awful when I was in high school.
The kids have the choice between playing at Moberly and playing at West Rand. Is there kind of a dividing line down there?
There's the dividing line. It's the west side of town. You get outside of Moberly, there's far, and it goes to West Rand.
Kind of the same way with Care on the north side. Later.
There's a lot of people move into the suburbs to play. Though.
Got a Sullivan County Commissioner ad playing right now. Captive audience. Wonder if this is kind of a late deal.
I would say he's last name to that too. I would say John Watt about every other one.
Let's do some more discussion here on this Missouri high school playoff system as the Wildcats and the Tigers kind of stretching things out here as we go into the third quarter. I was mentioning that Salisbury team, and I know a lot of folks, myself included, go down every March, and even if I don't have any teams to cover, I love to go down and see the pageantry and the excitement of the teams that end up making it to the Final Four down in Columbia. And that Salisbury team, which Salisbury's up 21-12 at the half over Marceline, and Milan is up 21-14 at the half over Princeton. If those scores hold, Monday night it'll be Salisbury at Milan, and Dennis said, and this is right, Salisbury will bring a ton of people because they're just excited about that particular group of athletes they have right now. That basketball team last year finished second in the state in Class 2, and I think were upset. They were unbeaten going in the state final. They were a dynamite team.
Well, yeah, they just got a ton of athletes. I know one of the big players, trying to think his name, Austin something, but he's definitely a force still on the Panthers sideline as well. But they just a lot of history down there, both football and basketball. A lot of success. They'll travel well. I think they thought they should have went a little farther last year. I think they thought they would get West Rand, and they weren't able to do it. And this year they got West Rand head-to-head. Actually, they did. West Rand got them head-to-head, but Marceline got West Rand. So it was a 3-game tie for Lewis and Clark. Marceline's pretty tough. I mean, that game, I knew that would be a dogfight right there, as well as I knew this one would too. We're covering both teams. Princeton doesn't go away easy. You know, you have to be seeing what happens here in the second half, but Princeton's giving the Wildcats everything they want.
The question on how Milan would react to getting hit in the mouth and getting a tight ball game. It's tight through a half. Milan's been in this situation before. They've usually dominated in the second half in that situation. If it's close in the fourth quarter, we'll see. If Milan can survive a test like this, so that's only a positive thing going forward.
Well, and then one of the biggest things that I see with this Princeton squad is that the other two tests that Milan had really with Knox County and with Schuyler County both, they didn't have quite the big threat potential to be able to throw the ball like Princeton does. If Milan doesn't get some pressure on Hartley, this could be a long second half
It's hard-hitting, heart-pounding excitement as community versus community and school against school. The #1 high school football event in the state. We are talking about the 2012 Misha Shogi Bowl at the Edward Jones Dome in St. Louis. This year's football championships feature 7 games, November 23rd and 24th, and it is the pinnacle of Missouri high school football, all in the luxury and comfort of the Dome.
Okay.
Get your tickets today and be a part of the action. For more information, log on to misha.org or contact one of the schools involved in tonight's game. We will see you at Shelby Bowl 2012. Will we see the Wildcats or the Tigers? For one of them, the Dream ends tonight. For another, they will be one step closer to a potential berth in the Edward Jones Dome. Still a lot of work to go. Dennis, you've been working on halftime stats. What do you have over there, my friend?
Well, it's actually the tale of two different philosophies. The overall total yardage is almost exactly the same. As a matter of fact, Princeton is out game mile by about 3 yards. Princeton has 151 yards through the air. Now, that looks like a lot in a very successful half, but when you back it off and look at it, 13 pass attempts, but only 4 completions. But out of that 4 completions, one of those for 27, one for 40, one for 75, and the other for 9. Overall, with also one interception, that's some pretty good amount of throwing there. But on the ground, just no threat. Basically, Hartley's rushed 15 times for a total of 18 yards. Bell has caught a couple of passes for 36 yards. Faulkner 2 for 115 and a touchdown. For the Wildcats, their 2-pronged ground game. Richardson 11 carries, 67 yards. Thompson 9 for 59. Sinclair 2 for 15, and Eddie 1 rush for no yards. He's 2 for 3 through the air for 25 yards and an interception. Total yardage 166, 141 of those on the ground for 22 carries for the Cats, 150 or 169 for Princeton.
Joseph Lovett boots the ball away for the Tigers. A short kick, it's going to hit and be picked up on the short hop at the 15-yard line by Richardson. He busts out the left side of the 20, 25, and a pretty good bull-like run there by Aaron Richardson out to the 30-yard line. Will be first down and 10 there for Milan. This is the kind of table setter for both sides. Who can get early momentum in the third quarter? If Princeton can get a stop here, you definitely feel like, as far as the second half concerned, it'd be game on, because we mentioned how Milan is generally dominated in the second half against opponents. Princeton's looking for a stop, trying to get the ball back in the prolific hands of Colton Hartley.
Well, and once again, this is going to be a set the pace of the second half, as you said, right here, to see what happens this possession.
Jordan Eddy under center for the Wildcats, going to hand it off on the sweep play. Coming near side, Mason Thompson cuts against the grain at the 35 out to the 37-yard line. Princeton again running to the football well. It's an effective gain of about 7 yards for the Wildcats, but Princeton able to come up and make the stop. Brant Faulkner in on that hit for Princeton. And so much of the philosophy here for Princeton, if you're Princeton, you'd love to get stops at the line of scrimmage, but Milan's going to get their yards. If you're Princeton, you want to bend but don't break and see if you can force a turnover and kind of short-circuit a drive that way.
Well, a turnover, a penalty, anything like that. With the way the Cats are set up, they get a holding penalty and it's just about a drive staller.
Hand off, Richardson through the middle, big hole to 45 out to the 49-yard line to gain the 10. That opened up quickly, and for Princeton, that's a concern here early in the third quarter. That was a massive hole through the middle that opened up for Aaron Richardson. If Richardson keeps on seeing holes like that, wouldn't be surprised to see 60, 65, 50-yard touchdown runs for number 41 sooner than later.
Well, and that's what's been the success all year. They haven't had to throw the ball. They've had those games where they would look like they should be stopped for 3, and next thing you know, he's broke through the second level.
Jordan Eddy, handoff. Thompson, left side, gets a block. Midfield 45, explodes to the 40, and he is gone. Thompson to the 25, 20, to the 10, to the 5, and to the house. Touchdown, Mason Thompson of the Milan Wildcats. He takes it 51 yards, and Milan extends the lead 27-14 with 10:48 to go in the third quarter. I promise you, folks, that's the first time I stole from Mike Kelly all season long with the to the house. He makes it sound too good on Saturdays, and that one was a great-looking run by Thompson. He had some linemen and Princeton players he had to meander his way through, but once he hit that hole and got the shoulders going forward, he went all the distance for 51.
Well, and that's Thompson's strength right there. He gets extra point is
By Palacios, he hooked it inside the left upright. 10:48 to go in the third quarter. We'll get back to Dennis here after the break. It's Milan 28, Princeton 14. Back in half a minute on KTTN FM 92.3. you off there on that extra point attempt, Dennis. What was the point you were trying to make there after that touchdown run?
Well, I've seen that happen so many times this year. He gets usually Nathan McCabe, sometimes Miller out in front of him. He actually almost holds onto the belt until he gets to the traffic. Then he breaks one way or the other, picks up the block, and goes.
Palacios boots it away, and Princeton's going to flip the ball back to Hartley, 25-yard line, and brought down at the 28. Pretty good leg drawing there by Colton to get an extra 3 yards after contact. Getting up slowly for Princeton is Tyler Phillips. But I obviously interviewed Coach Gooden all season long for Princeton on the coaching shows on Wednesday, but I've known Princeton is going somewhere between 15 and 20 on the roster, but you got to see about 16 on the roster before you really track these Princeton kids for what they're doing. They're going both ways all season long. They've been banged up a little bit, but just able to play really solid football with very low numbers.
Well, they sure have, and they've lost a couple of their primary running backs, and that's the main reason that Hartley is pretty well the only one doing much running tonight.
10:42 to go in the third. Low snap grab by Hartley against the dirt. Throws the ball to the 34-yard line as he's hit in the process of the throw. Catch made by Hunter Boxley of Princeton out at the 34-yard line, and Milan is able to put some pretty significant pressure from the backside of Hartley before that throw, and got a holding penalty as well against the Tigers, so that'll waive off the gain of 6 yards out close to the 35-yard line, and that'll be a very hurtful penalty against Princeton because that holding penalty occurred quite a distance behind the line of scrimmage, maybe 24-yard line or so. That might put this ball back by the 14 by the time all things are said and done.
Well, it was one of those things that was a hold out of necessity because the Wildcats were getting some pressure back there on Hartley, and if he hadn't have been held, he definitely would have got there before he had a chance to throw the football.
Is Coach Dabney going to bring some people here to try to get pressure on in the third quarter?
All year long they have been. That's why they've been so successful on defense, but once again with Princeton, they have to respect those wide receivers. They're trying to keep the safeties back instead of bringing them in. I think they're going to have to gamble.
If you blitz against Hartley, you're playing a game of Russian roulette too. Hartley takes a snap. He's back in his own 6. Chucks the ball through the middle. Catch made by Faulkner at the 20. Cutting outside of the 30. He got the yardage back and then some out to the 31-yard line. That'll be about 9 yards short of the first down. And now roughing the penalty, or roughing the passer penalty will go against Milan. So Milan definitely, they got some fire in the burrow here to start the third quarter. Got a hit in legally against Hartley on a couple of passes ago. That time they took an extra couple of steps before coming in and trying to drill Colton Hartley, and that one's going to be called for the 15.
Well, and once again, that's the kind of thing that Cats cannot afford to happen. You've got Princeton backed up there, and not only do you let them complete the pass, but you get to Hartley late and give them the first down.
And it's the type of pass pattern there. Aside from the penalty, which is going to definitely help the Tigers, it's a crossing pattern that we didn't see all that much from Princeton. We saw a lot of Princeton going straight down the field with fly patterns in the first half. Third quarter, I like the look there of the crossing pattern to Brad Faulkner.
Well, I mentioned that earlier, that's been open all night. They started out, and they've had some success with that at times. I thought maybe they were kind of trying to set things up the first half and then bring it out and do a conservative passing game in the second half.
First and 10, Tigers off of the 15-yard penalty out to the 47-yard line. In the shotgun set here is Hartley. He's going to sprint to his left. He's under pressure. Being chased by the Cats. Throws the ball with a flag on the play. The ball is going to be short of Faulkner at the 32-yard line. Big-time pressure coming from Milan as Bodie Eaglin able to get a hit in on Hartley in the backfield, but that flag is back in the Milan secondary.
Well, I saw the referee talking to Smith back there. He was telling him basically that you got your hands on him, you can't do that, so they're going to give another holding, defensive holding on the receiver. Pass interference is going to be on the first down.
Yeah, if it's holding, it's a 10-yard penalty. If it's pass interference, it's 15. It's first down either way. The ball is laying at the 47. It's going to be moved into Milan territory. The question is how many yards. I think the difference is if you're holding or pushing before the ball's in the air, it's a hold. If it's when the ball is in the air, it's a pass interference.
Right.
And I think it was probably the latter, although it was close. Hartley's going to come to the near sideline and chat with head coach John Gooden here. I think folks are familiar with this. It was before the season started. I got into a conversation late at night with Coach Tina Holt, the boys basketball coach up at Mercer. I think folks are aware that Colton is a fantastic basketball player for the Cardinals. that she hopes for good things for Colton and also hopes he doesn't get hurt because Mercer is going to have an awfully good boys basketball team over the next 3.5 months.
Well, there's no question about it. I saw him toward the end of the year last year with some of the youngsters coming up to help Hartley, and they did call that a holding instead of a pass interference, so just a 10-yard, but it is an automatic first down.
Down to the 43-yard line. Twins to the far side here for Princeton. Hartley from midfield hurdles the ball to Faulkner on the slant pattern. 25-yard line down inside the 20, brought down at the 16. And that's working. That wasn't a crossing pattern, but it is working. Instead of straight down the field, it's working against that defensive back, getting Brant Faulkner and that big body inside the defensive back. It makes it a pretty easy pitch and catch.
Well, and once again, a slant pattern is very difficult to defend, and I think they're going to have to get some help there on that.
1st and 10, Tigers all the way down to the Milan 17-yard line. The Tigers are growling here. 2 minutes and change into the third quarter for Milan. 28-14, Cats on top. Low snap taken by Hartley. Under pressure and brought down by the Wildcat at the 24-yard line. Mason Thompson on the blitz came in there and brought Hartley to the turf. I can almost guarantee you one thing. It's maybe not a 100% guarantee, but maybe a 99.9. Coach Dabney gave the defensive guys from Milan a little talking to about getting in the face and getting some pressure on Colton Hartley. We've seen a 100% improvement on that from Milan in the third quarter.
Well, if they don't do that, he's going to be able to sit back there and throw the slants, throw the long passes, and it's going to be a tough night for the Cats.
Second down and 16, back to the 23-yard line. Hartley in that shotgun snap, takes the football, throws it in the direction of Faulkner, in the end zone, leaps in, he had the ball knocked away by Smith. Smith is a young man too. He doesn't quite have Faulkner's height, but for a corner, Sean Smith at 5'11", he is able to use his height to his advantage in a situation like that.
Oh, that one right there, he just got between him and the ball. The good thing he did was find the football, and that's one of the problems a little bit with Hartley and kind of with high school passing quarterbacks is they throw it where you are instead of where you're going to be, and that's kind of the situation there where the ball was underthrown a little bit again, and Smith had a chance to go up and knock it away. Good play by Smith.
The ball is being walked off against the Tigers. A 10-yard penalty against the blue and white sends the football back to the 35-yard line. It's going to be, let's see here, second down and about Purdon, I think, in the direction that the Tigers are going here.
I think so, at least Browning.
Purdon's a whole different school. I guess Browning would be that same school district. We'll say the county line, right?
Pretty close.
Second down and somewhere down in Sullivan's, southern Sullivan County here for the Tigers. It's 27 degrees, 27 yards to be accurate. Rolling out is Hartley. Breaks a tackle at the 40, 35-30. Cuts inside of the 25 to the 20, 15, 10, 5, and going all the way in for a scrambling touchdown is Colton Hartley of the Princeton Tigers, but there is laundry on the field at the 15-yard line. That's likely going to take a touchdown off of the board for Princeton, but the holding penalty is far enough down the field. It's not going to really hurt Princeton yardage-wise. It's just going to be a killer for Princeton as far as taking 6 points off the board on a brilliant scramble by the senior quarterback.
Well, and Thompson was back there and just almost got Hartley, and Hartley's just such a great runner that he stepped through it, and then there was nobody there, but he was downfield, and Hartley made a tremendous cutback to avoid the tackle there and run in for the touchdown and all for naught.
I think it was about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, that Mich put in the cooperative agreement between schools like Mercer and Princeton, and if not for that, Princeton wouldn't have Hartley, and the Tigers would really be struggling to try to find players put on the field.
Oh yeah, there's no question about it.
That has been a boon for Princeton, particularly this fall. Second down and 17 after the penalty. Hartley throws the ball near sideline to Faulkner. Catches, touchdown, Tigers! It's Faulkner making the catch at the one over Smith. I think he stepped in there, but we have no hands up from the referees. I can't, for the life of me, figure out why, Dennis.
It's whether he stepped out of bounds or not. But
yeah, there it is. Hands in the air. Touchdown, Princeton. He wasn't out of bounds, unless my eyesight has completely failed me here, and I'm not that old yet. 8:40 to go in the third quarter. It's a touchdown pass of 28 yards from Hartley to Faulkner, and Princeton responds to the Milan touchdown with a touchdown of their own, and the Tigers saying clearly here to the home team and the number one seed, we're not going anywhere. You're going to have to do more to put us away on this night.
well, I think once again that success and possibility is there every play, so you never know what's going to happen.
On to attempt the extra point for Princeton is Lovett. And before the ball is kicked, Flags fly here at the pits in Milan. And that'll be a 5-yard penalty. And I know in my conversations with Coach Gooden, he's pleased with an improvement in the kicking game this season for Princeton. That being said, a 25-yard extra point attempt is much more difficult for Joseph Lovett than a 20-yarder.
I actually saw Lovett try about 60-yarder early this year. I mean, it was considerably short, but he's got the leg to hit a 40, 45-yarder.
Tell you one thing about Lovett, I call him big guy kickers. He is a big guy kicker.
Yes, he is.
Joseph Lovett at 6'2", 270. He's going to boot the ball up. Boy, hit it strong, and he hit it no good. Wide to the upright. It stays an 8-point lead for Milan. 8:40 to go in the third quarter. The score is Wildcats 28, Tigers 20. We're back with a kick from Cal Hubbard Field in 30 seconds on KTTN FM 92.3. Tom.
Tom?
Yeah.
We talked to Michelle with the radio station. We were able to drop a check by tonight.
Oh, okay.
Some advertising we were using.
Okay, not a problem. Michelle Shaw, was it?
Michelle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll pass it along.
Thank you.
Well, we're back here. Princeton's stepping back on the field.
Thanks for covering me for there, Dennis. We were actually getting money from some folks here in the press box for our business purposes, so we're always happy with that.
Absolutely.
We'll take that any time. Any time of the year, any day of the week. We are a business after all. 28 to 20. 8:40 to go in quarter number 3 here from the pit as the football goes back over to the Milan Wildcats. This game is actually coming down to which defense can stop the other's offense is probably going to win this game.
I would say that's a very good point.
Driving down to the 14-yard line, coming the other way from Milan, Tristan Fowler. He cuts at the 30 and is brought down, ankle tackled at the 34-yard line. And like you said at the half, too, it is definitely two teams that are scoring points. And it's for Princeton, it's the big 30, 35, 40-yard pass plays down the field for Milan. It's kind of 10 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah, and that's going to be that way. I mean, they may break one and that kind of thing, but their big plays are going to be on the ground, not through the air.
Princeton will try for a big defensive stop for Milan here. Obviously, you'd like to get points on this drive, but maybe even more so for Milan. You'd like a long, time-consuming drive that would have to keep Princeton's defense on the field.
Yeah, there's no question. The more they can do, the more they run the time off the clock.
Middle of Princeton's defense stood up strong there against Aaron Richardson, stopped him for about a gain of 1, just short of the 35-yard line. It'll be second down, call it 8 from there. 8:16, clock moving, left to go in the third quarter from the pit. Milan leading Princeton by a score of 28 to 20. Our video coverage brought to you tonight by Rushmeyer Funeral Home of Milan, ServLink Home Care of Milan and Princeton, Putnam County State Bank of Milan and Unionville. Here's the handoff coming right side to Thompson, who is brought down on a great open field tackle by Ryan Bell of Princeton at the 38-yard line. Bell's one of those kids that you don't hear from him for a while. Then number 88 steps forward, was a big catch or a big defensive play. That was a great tackle made by number 88.
Oh, yeah, he just submarined in there and definitely took the legs out.
7.5 to go, quarter number 3. Wildcats, the number 1 seed here in District 6. Definitely being challenged on this night. Same thing is happening to the number 2 seed Salisbury. They are being given a challenge up on Marceline, 21-12 at the half. Here is the quick reverse and the handoff to Sinclair. Cuts against the grain, and he breaks a tackle at the 40, and he's close to the first down. He took a big-time hit in the ribs at the 40-yard line, but for a kid who's only 165 pounds, Sinclair, just kind of like the old Energizer buddy, he just kept going and going, and I think he's going to get the first down.
It looks like from where the chains are at, but we'll have to wait and see. It looks like they do give a first down, yep.
Looked like it was right at the chains. He got hit from the side, but I'm surprised that Sinclair was not brought down on that hit at the 40.
Oh, yeah, he just bounced right off. I think they put a shoulder in, but they did not wrap up, and that's one of the biggest cardinal sins the coaches will get gray hair about.
7 minutes and change remaining in the third quarter. Handoff to Thompson, left side, turns the shoulders at the 45 out to the 47-yard line for a gain of 4. Brought down there by Princeton's Joseph Lovett as we go under 7 minutes remaining in the third quarter. We're starting to see maybe the indications of Milan trying to get a long, time-consuming drive going here.
Well, that's pretty well their philosophy most of the time. It just happens that they break through and score quickly, but most of the time, as long as they can get 4 or 5 yards per play, they're going to be very happy with that.
Second and 5 for the Cats from their own 48-yard line. Eddie hands the ball off, coming to the near wing to Thompson. He gets a block at midfield. He's out to the 40, down to the 39-yard line of Princeton. Just chewing up Tigers at offensive front for Milan. It's a gain of 13 yards. Getting up slowly for Milan, favoring a leg is Nathan McCabe. We don't talk about the Milan front very much, but those guys are the whole key to this Wildcat offense.
Oh, there's no question about it. McCabe is one of the ones that have made the biggest improvement this year. He's actually trimmed down a few pounds and increased his speed. He actually gets out in front of Thompson, leads the way, and just is a very formidable blocker up front.
Drew Russell's lined up. Right guard here for Milan. Split backs behind Eddie. Hands it off to Thompson. He cuts against the grain at the 40, out to the 35-yard line for a gain of 4. That was a big-time collision. That's a good football collision here for this time of year, Halloween night. Hartley bringing down Thompson after a gain of 4. It'll be 2nd down and 5 with 5:53 to go in the third.
Well, good cutback there by Thompson, but Hartley just read it and came up and stood him up in good open field tackle. Hartley is about as good an open field tackler as you're going to find.
2nd and 6 for the Cats from the 35-yard line. Again, split backs behind Jordan Eddy. He hands the ball off to Richardson, and he can't break through the first seam. He got a couple, slowed at the 34, and he falls forward to the 33-yard line. A huge 3rd down and 4 for Princeton right now. The Tigers are in position for an upset, but Princeton right now, they need one stop. They need to get the ball back to the offense, down by only 1 score.
Well, yeah, that's a big key right here. If Milan goes in and scores again, time starts definitely becoming a factor. If not, Princeton's got it back with a little momentum and a lot of time left.
3rd and 4 from the 33-yard line. Eddie with the handoff to Thompson. Mason gets blockers out front, cuts outside, brought down at the 31-yard line, leading toward the 30. They're going to mark him down at about the 31. It'll be 4th down and 2 for Milan. Milan has about 2 or 3 bread and butter plays here. If I had to guess, I'd say you're going to see Aaron Richardson perhaps on a run through the middle.
Yeah, it's one of those things, preferably something that's a quick hitter, not a slow developing play like Thompson does, but maybe you fake the plunge and do something that has a chance to break it.
Maybe with some misdirection or some fakes involved with some of those sweep plays from Milan. We'll see what Coach Dabney calls here. Huge play in this ball game. 4th and 2, power right side of the formation. That's exactly where the Cats go, and Richardson will, I think if they give him the spot, pick up the 1st down, and they do. He's ahead to the 38-yard line, and by 1 yard, that picks up the 1st down. It wasn't necessarily the run through the middle like I thought, but well, you want to talk about Coach Dabney challenging the boys up front. He put about 5-6 guys to the right of the center there on the offensive line, and that's exactly where Richardson took that football.
Well, one of the things he did, too, he brought in John Hopkins at fullback, and John is an absolute load, and when John was the lead blocker there, he opened up a spot.
There's a fumble in the backfield, and Jordan Eddy's going to have to hop on that football. He might have got that football caught right against the hip of Aaron Richardson on that play action as Richardson is moving through.
Yeah, I think the play was going to Thompson around the left end, but the fake to Richardson, the ball kind of popped loose.
Eddie goes over to the sideline, gets a call from Coach Dabney. I'm sure John isn't happy with the fumble, but it was a heady play by Jordan Eddy because it's one of those deals where you've already fumbled the football, jump on it and take your medicine.
Oh, yeah, don't try to do anything with it. Just get it and get it back on the next play.
2nd and 14 after the loss of 4 for the Wildcats. Richardson lined up behind Eddie. Jordan back to pass on play action. He's in trouble. He's going to sprint back to midfield. He steps into a throw at the 45-yard line. Flag on the play. The pass is going to be caught for a touchdown, but I think it's going to be called back on a hold as Sinclair made the catch and dances into the end zone, but there's a flag down at the 43-yard line, clearly a holding penalty from where that flag was thrown.
Well, he threw the flag. I was watching the play, but it looked to me, honestly, like that there was very little engagement there. But once again, I looked away for a moment, and there very well could have been a hold there.
Mount Dabney is exploding on that far sideline. I think he's probably as frustrated with the team as he is with the referees.
Yeah, absolutely, and that now buries him back with very little chance to do something without another big play.
There was such a deep retreat there, for lack of a better term, by Jordan Eddy that the flag was back at the 45-yard line or so. It was actually the 43-yard line. The ball's going to move back to the 48. And let's see, we called it second in the county line going that way. What do we have going that way? Well, there's this town that starts with the U that you don't. I was already warned you don't bring up that town in this town.
Let's say Pollock.
Yes, not that U town. with all due respect to the Wildcat faithful.
Absolutely. Well, this is one of the things that high school football, I'm not sure really why they do it. They mark it from the spot. Even in the pros, they still go back to the line of scrimmage and go a 10 or 15-yard penalty, whatever they do.
It is second and 34.
I mean, that's such a big, costly penalty, a 25-yard penalty. And they on offense, on the pass interference, they go back to the line of scrimmage. So why do they not look at it the same way?
Let's see what the Cats can pull out of the hat here. Thompson rushes it right side. He's to the Princeton 45 down to the 43-yard line. Not going to say it's a great position here for Milan, but it appears more doable. A 3rd and 22 coming up for the Wildcats. The goal kind of here for Milan, two-pronged too. If you can pick up 3rd and 22, if you're Milan, it'll be tremendous for the offense. But if you can't, you want to play some field position.
Well, absolutely. And now they've got to get up here where they can at least pin Princeton back if they happen to have to turn it over.
Winner of this ball game will play next Monday night, November the 5th, in the district championship game. If Milan wins, the game would be here. If Princeton wins, the game is on the road for the Tigers. Back to pass Eddy. He's trying to throw the home run pass down the heart of the field. That ball is tipped and almost intercepted. That battle of 88s we've been bringing you all night long. Ryan Bell of Princeton against Bryce Elliott of Milan, and Bell won out and almost tipped that ball to himself as he comes up a little bit gimpy down at the 10-yard line.
Well, that's one of those plays that's been well scouted against Milan. From as far back as I can remember, Coach Snelly always ran that, just release the tight end straight down the middle. But it works. I also have seen the Bearcats at Northwest used it. They kind of forget about the tight end. Coach Gooden has got the Tigers well scouted.
Not a great punt by Sinclair. It rolls by Hartley, picks it up at the 6. Cuts to his right, breaks a tackle. Tries to get to the sideline. He's knocked down. Pinball down at the 10-yard line by the Wildcat special teams. So Milan does pin Princeton back deep. But Princeton certainly offensively, they could score in a 90-yard strike to save Brent Faulkner from this spot on the field.
Well, and this has to be a big possession right here. The Cats get a stop, get the ball back. It can really do some good things as they should get back to field position. Princeton goes down and scores here.
It's, game on. Game on in the fourth quarter, you bet. 28-20, Milan with the lead. Princeton is trying for what would just be a really big upset. Milan beat Princeton early in the season. I believe the final score was 36-18, and before the snap here, timeout called on the field. 2:19 to go in the third quarter. It's Wildcats 28, Tigers 20. We've got a dandy playoff game going here from Cal Hubbard. We're back in 30 seconds on Hometown Radio, KTTN. Completely hearing every bit of that conversation down there underneath the crowd mic. And Tom Johnson, joined by Dennis Stevenson, Dan Maxey providing our video coverage tonight. Brought to you in part by our Princeton sponsors, Grand River Mutual Telephone Corporation, and by the Princeton Ralphi School District, and by Milan sponsors, Rushmeyer Funeral Home, ServLink Home Care of Milan and Princeton, Putnam County State Bank of Unionville and Milan. There's a rollout and a throw by Hartley down the heart of the field, and almost caught on a leaping attempt by Faulkner at the 40-yard line. You keep on thinking of Brent Faulkner as a big, long, angular wide receiver, but the young man has athletic ability just oozing out of his pores down there at the 40-yard line.
Well, there's no question about it. And the Wildcats have went a little different philosophy. They've now changed Caleb May, where he's manning up on Faulkner all the time, and Smith has switched to Ryan Bell. May actually was right there in pretty good position that time. Once again, the ball underthrown. If it had been led him a little bit more, that might have been touchdown.
Princeton 6-4, Milan 9-0, coming into this district semifinal tonight. 2nd and 10. Hartley steps into a throw, tipped and almost intercepted. It was tipped in the direction of Smith. It looked like Kevin DeRike had that ball in his hands, but that was a bullet pass by Hartley, and for a big middle linebacker like Kevin, that is a tough one to pick off at the 15.
Oh, there's no question about it. And that's what has to happen there. Coach Dabney is kind of dropping the linebacker into a little bit of zone coverage right there, trying to stop that little drag across the middle. That's all you can do to defend.
3rd and 10 from the 11. Hartley, with good time, throws the home run pass down the sideline, knocked away at the 45-yard line. It's a nice play by Caleb May. You mentioned him earlier, Dennis. He had no interest in picking off that pass. He wanted to make sure he flicked it away with the left hand from Bryant Faulkner, and he did so just like you draw it up in the dictionary.
Well, on 3rd down in that situation, that would have been a very good punt, even if it intercepted, unless it had a little bit of space where he could have ran it back. But now the Cats are going to get it back in good field position. Now the momentum's starting to shift back their direction.
We do have the Coke TNT Locker Room Show. Dave Miles will host. It'll be our last show of the season. Of course, they kind of start running low on teams in the listening area. Still a pretty good amount alive tonight. A good amount will be going to the district championship. We'll have all the scores 10 to midnight tonight. There's the boot by Princeton, taken by Milan. Taking it the other way is Fowler. He's to the 40. Flag on the play as Fowler brings it back to the 37. And what happens, and I've seen this all fall long, and I know you have as well, Dennis, when you get the punt returner cut in one way and then back to the other, the angles just don't work the way of the kick returner. And the kick returner, the blocker, will try to block at angles that result in blocks in the back.
Actually, they called a face mask on Princeton.
Did they really?
I knew I didn't see it here in front of me unless it was on up the field, but I think what happened when Fowler tried to cut it back, hand comes out, and the first thing you touch is face mask, and I saw his head spin, but I didn't think it was face mask.
Well, after the fact, and I was obviously fooled on that, but there were a couple of flags that flew at the same time, and usually there's a face mask when you do see a couple of them fly like that.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a big turnaround on that penalty.
That's the 15-yard variety penalty against the Tigers. So Milan is going to start this drive with their best field position to start a drive on the night. Cats have the ball down at the Princeton 22-yard line as you're listening to Missouri Class 1 District 6 semifinal football on KTTN FM Trenton. Tom Johnson with you from the pit. Jordan Endy under center, hands it off to Sinclair, cutting against the grain to the 20, to the 15, and jumps forward to the 14, a gain of 8. And it'll be 2nd down and 2 for the Wildcats with 1:24 to go in the 3rd quarter.
Well, I've thought all year that Sinclair had a little shot at doing that, and when you get to the teams that they start countering on stopping Richardson, stopping Thompson, then all of a sudden you come a little misdirection, a little trap play with Sinclair, and he's got some running ability. As you saw, good hands as he caught that pass in the end zone a minute ago that was called back. He's become a much bigger part of this offense the last 4 or 5 years.
The three-headed running attack that Milan has, I think Sinclair might have the most juice behind those legs.
Yeah, he's pretty tough.
2nd and 2. Motion man is Thompson. Handoff through the middle to the 10-yard line, and rumbling forward to the 8 is Aaron Richardson. That'll be a gain of 6, and it'll bring up 1st down and goal for the Wildcats. Now Princeton being shoved back against the goal line. The Tigers, with the ball officially down at the 9, are in dire need of a defensive stop within the last minute of play in the 3rd quarter.
Well, now is when the ground pounding starts really taking its toll on the defense, because Milan has just been coming at you in your face all night, and these big boys on Princeton line are starting to wear a little thin maybe.
Eddie hands it off, coming right side, and to the 5-yard line, driving forward to the 2 on the sweep play is Mason Thompson. Blockers out front. Give a big tip of the hat there to Nathan Miller of Milan, 170-pound junior, able to move from right to left on that sweep play that looked like the old Washington Redskins from back in the day.
Well, Milan tends to run some pretty small guards. That's kind of been the philosophy of Milan for forever. You want a guy that's quick to get out in front and pull, But even their bigger guys at the tackles have got some speed and get out in front of Thompson, and it's been very effective for them.
That is the end of the third quarter with the score, Milan 28, Princeton 20. Milan knocking on the door for 6 as we come back in 1 minute. Fourth quarter next here on KTTN FM 92.3. That'll put a smile on somebody's face.
I'd say Hopkins in right here and Richardson.
Oh, yeah. Along with Dan Stevenson, Tom Johnson with you back from Cal Hubbard Field in Milan, Missouri. 28-20 is the score. Milan with the lead. 12 minutes on the clock. Obviously, things are pretty simple here. Milan's going to try to ram this ball in the end zone. It is second down and goal from the 3. Princeton will try to hold them out for 3 straight plays. And with the Princeton defense tiring, that turns out to be, I'm sure, a very hefty task here for the blue and white.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely going to be. My guess, as I was kind of telling you during the break there, I would think they might bring in Hopkins right here as a little lead blocker. Try a little power game.
Thompson will line up a wing to the left. Richardson right behind Eddie. Sinclair a wing to the right. Handoff Sinclair coming left side. He cuts, stays on his feet to the goal line, and he's in. Touchdown, Brett Sinclair, and the Milan Wildcats extend the lead to 34-20 with 11:55 to go in the fourth quarter. There's some pretty good blocking, but one of the things I have noticed throughout the football season where I'm trying to give credit is these running backs that they don't go down easily and they have good balance. Brett Sinclair has really good balance with his runs.
Oh, yeah, he kind of keeps low, lowers the shoulders. He's not all that big a kid, but good power, just keeps churning. He doesn't give up. I coached him for years back in basketball and a little bit in this. Good kid.
Kick by Palacios, and the kick is good. We are 5 seconds into the fourth quarter. The score is now Wildcats 35, Tigers 20. Princeton with a huge possession when we come back in half a minute with a kickoff on KTTN. Monday night's game will be one night before the election. That'll just be real fun. We'll have the candidates crawling through football stadiums. 35-20 the score. Mentioned it in the third quarter, Dennis, but right now if you're Princeton, you're in a decent position to pull off an upset on the road. But right now the lead is going back and forth from 1 score to 2 scores. If you're Princeton, you got to put back-to-back scores at some point together, and right now early in the fourth quarter, time's going to start to become a factor against the Tigers.
Well, they've got 2 things they're fighting right now. Once the time and the momentum has shifted back to the Wildcats now. And, depends on what happens with this drive. If Princeton gets it quick, and Milan still needs another big drive to slow it down.
Hartley on one hop, catches the ball to 20, cuts to the 25, outside to the 30, stays on his feet to the 39-yard line, brought down there by Milan. Pretty good kickoff return there by Colton Hartley of Princeton to get the Tigers good field position.
Well, that's the main reason they don't want Hartley to have the football any more than he absolutely has to, because there's so much potential for him to break it every time he touches it.
Now, and what works against Princeton too is the kids who are gassed defensively or tiring defensively, they don't have a chance to rest. The 90% of them play both ways.
Oh, and yeah, that's no question about it. And the big part of their big play game is you lose a step, the potential's there to falter.
Hartley with a snap. Throws the home run pass. Near sideline. Incomplete. Well, reaching for his helmet there, frustrated, was Ryan Bell of Princeton. He stopped at the 30. He had the ball right in his palms, and it looked like as the ball came in, he got just a little bit of a tug by Sean Smith, and the tug might have surprised Ryan. I think that is maybe the reason why he dropped the ball.
Well, and it's very possible that Hartley is trying to throw that behind him because the receiver looks up, sees the ball coming, he can make the move, kind of that back shoulder throw. And the defensive backs are having trouble adjusting, but that also means they're falling back and kind of losing balance. It's hard to pull it in.
2nd and 10 from the 39, running it left side rather as Hartley, and he's going to be stuffed that time. He hasn't been horribly successful running the ball tonight. Milan has been on him there, is making the tackle for the Wildcats. Is big Nathan McCabe. Out of all the guys up front for Milan, I've been mentioning McCabe's name the most from that defensive front tonight.
He has really stepped it up this year. I've seen, as I mentioned earlier, about as much improvement from him as anyone.
11-13 to go in the fourth quarter. Milan 35, Princeton 20. 3rd and 12 for the Tigers. Taking the snap is Hartley. Sprints to his left. Now the pocket breaks down. He runs and he's sacked at the 33. The sack was made by the linebacker, Mason Thompson of Milan, coming up to bring down Hartley for a loss of 4 yards. And now if you're a Princeton, you're between a rock and a hard place. I'm sure everything that Coach Gooden is saying is, we can't punt the football away, we've got to go for it. I don't know if you can go for it on 4th and 16.
Not at this position. I think they're going to think they can stop the Cats and go from there. But they are calling timeout to talk about it.
Yeah, and you know where the mindset is, because if you're Princeton, you feel like if we're going to win this game, we got to win it with our offense. And the defense right now is struggling a little bit against Milan, but 4th and 16 with 10:44 to go, you got to lean on your defense and hope for a turnover or a 3-and-out or something of that sort.
Well, this play right here is going to potentially be the game right here. If Princeton picks it up, they're still in it. If they punt it away, Milan's still going to get a pretty good field position, and if they put together a long time-consuming drive, it's going to be tough for Princeton to put 2 scores together, even if Milan doesn't score. If they take it down and score, then that's 3, game over.
And don't you feel like right now, too, that if Princeton kicks the ball away to Milan, that Princeton is hopeful that Milan will shoot itself in the foot with a penalty or a turnover, because right now Princeton's having a lot of trouble with that front 7 trying to stop that Milan ground game.
Well, I think they think their best chance is to keep the ball in their offense's hands. And
yeah, here we go. Yeah, I was saying I thought Coach Gooden would be tempted, and he's rolling the dice with Colton Hartley. It's an awkward call on 4th and 16, but I completely understand the call. He's going with the offense right now of the Tigers. 4th and 16, bobble snap by Colton. He picks it up, rolls left, throws the ball, heaves it downfield, looking for Faulkner. The ball tipped and picked off at the 33-yard line. Making the interception for Milan is Caleb May. It's a pick, but it does work as well as what a punt would have done for Princeton as well.
Oh, yeah, it's one of those things. If you're throwing the ball downfield, unless you get sacked or fumble or throw it up and get a big run back on it, it's just the same as a punt.
And isn't it easier said than done? But if you're Milan right there, and I wouldn't be surprised if Coach Dabney is mentioning this, you don't want to catch that ball.
Well, absolutely. But you also, because right in the middle of all that, you've also seen it happen where the receiver sticks a hand out and gets one where you batted it away. So you take a chance, you get it, you get the ball back in your hands, let your offense do their job.
Yeah, the Milan offense is going pretty well right now, and the defensive back gets an interception onto his stat line.
Well, and that's got to take a little steam out of Princeton right here. I mean, they're a long way from giving up, but that really hurt the Tigers right there.
1st and 10, Wildcats moving from right to left on the dial from the 35-yard line, and a flag as the play was going to be the sweep left to Mason Thompson. You know, we mentioned the kind of the trials and tribulations that Coach Dabney has had here. He had real good success with that early group that he had, 06, 07 at Milan, and then they all graduated. And we mentioned that year where Milan had to play their games over at Truman State, and the pit was being refurbished. I think got to host Putnam County the last game of the year, and not only was that a hard season for Milan because they couldn't have home games until week 10, but they just weren't very good, and they took it on the chin. But a lot of those kids were 8th grade, freshmen, sophomores on this particular team, and they've used that as fuel.
Oh, yeah, there's no question.
There's the handoff through the middle, and big yards right side, and going all the way for a touchdown, untouched to the goal line, and in for Milan from 65 yards away is Aaron Richardson. As Dennis is pointing, 70 yards from the 30. So a 70-yard touchdown run. For Milan's Aaron Richardson, I thought you were pointing for a flag for the second. I was going to say, I don't see any laundry on the field. He was just making sure that I had my yardage right there. 70 yards for Aaron Richardson. Just took it right side. One was not touched by a Tiger at all. 10:22 to go. Fourth quarter, and Milan extends the lead out to 41-20, with Palacios trying to add another extra point. So Raul boots it up. The sophomore hooks it through. 42-20, the lead for the Wildcats over the Tigers. We'll return to Cal Hubbard Field in 30 seconds on KTTN FM 92.3.
Was that the dagger?
If it's not, it's close. Dave Miles with a text, has any Milan drive started on their side of the 50? Now, the man who hosts our locker room show that starts at 10 o'clock, Dave Miles, he's listening in back at home, and he texts me to ask, and the answer is yes, by the way, Mr. Miles. Has any Milan drive started on the Princeton side of the 50? They have, but Milan's had the advantage of pretty good field position tonight as well.
Yeah, they have. It's been pretty good position.
Palacios drives the football down to Hartley. He gets it on a pitch, and he is going to be drilled at the 24-yard line. You mentioned during the break, Dennis, that that's touchdown. You feel like it takes a little bit of the starch out of the Princeton Tigers. If you're Princeton, you need a response on this drive. You probably need it quicker than not.
Well, there's no question. I mean, you've got to do one of the things that I guess that hurt the Wildcats was to actually not take any time off the clock on that last drive, because that's the Tigers' biggest enemy right now. If Princeton can score quick, I'm sure they'll try an onside kick, get it back. I mean, there's still tons of time to make something happen here.
10:15 would be that tons of time, and that is a lot of time in high school football. Faulkner split out in the slot left. Motion man for Princeton is Jennings. Hartley, under pressure, steps up, throws. Catch made at the 38-yard line by Hunter Boxley. And that's enough for a Princeton first down. You mentioned the injuries. Princeton hasn't had a ton, but as of late, the injury in particular to Talon Place, good running back for Princeton, out for the season with an ACL injury. How does that hurt Princeton?
Well, definitely I give them that other running back option, and they just haven't had that.
Kind of just run out of running backs at a certain point. So Princeton's been going with the air raid offense tonight. 10:02 to go in the fourth. Motion man is Jennings. Hartley takes a snap, rolls right, stops at the hash mark, throws to the 42-yard line. Ball dropped and bounces right back to Bell. You want to talk about lady luck working for Ryan Bell a little bit. He dropped that ball, fumbled it away, and there are a lot of things that a football, that oblong piece of pigskin can do, and it hits at the 45-yard line, and maybe the thing that's the least likely is it for it to bounce right back up to you, and that's exactly what it did for number 88.
Oh, yeah, that was just like basketball. It just came straight bounce right back into his hands.
Even if the ball hits that way and it hits the laces, it can affect how the ball bounces. Second down and 2 for the Tigers out at the 45-yard line. Coach Gooden on the near sideline giving the signals here to Colton Hartley. Colton directs Boxley to move a little bit further out to the left. He'll do so. Faulkner will move toward the slot left side. Low snap grab by Colton. Looks left and throws left. Looking for the home run pass. Faulkner has it at the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown Tigers! It's a perfect pass and a touchdown of 55 yards. The second touchdown catch, and maybe even the third touchdown catch of the night for Brant Faulkner of Princeton High School. Indeed, it is the third touchdown pass, and that ball couldn't have been thrown any better if you tried. And that has a little bit of stomping going on from Coach Dabney on that far sideline. He is not pleased with the Milan defense letting Faulkner get behind. It wasn't, again, terrible defense, but about 2 yards behind the defense was Faulkner, and that ball could have been thrown any better if it was handed off down at the 40-yard line.
Well, once again, the biggest problem for the Wildcats is not necessarily the fact that Faulkner got away. If you've got a sprinter going and a defensive back, there's no way that he can stay with him all the way back there if your quarterback's got time to sit back and wait for him to outrun you.
Lovett boots the football through the uprights. 9:40 to go in the fourth quarter. It is Milan 42. The Not Say Die Tigers of Princeton with 27. Back in half a minute on KTTN. I can go dig out all the touchdowns from this game later tonight. I'll be at station until 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
We only got about 45 seconds here going between touchdowns.
Think they'll do onside kick?
Possible. Well, here's the question du jour right now, and Dennis is all over this one. Does Princeton onside kick? I'd be tempted because right now the Tigers' defense is really struggling against Milan. And quite frankly, I mentioned this earlier, Princeton's best chance to win this game might be to keep the ball in the offense's hands as much as possible.
Well, that's definitely onside kick formation.
Love it. With the ball at the 40, it looks like he's going to drive this into the ground. He does. Whoa, what a high bounce. It's grabbed by who? Milan has it. Yeah, as a couple of Wildcats came together, Caleb May and John Hopkins, I hear a couple of Wildcat fans not happy with things down there. I don't know what they're not happy with, whether, there's contact there, but certainly with the ball that far down the field, you can run into a player to try to knock that loose. That's a great onside kick effort by Lovett.
He signaled a fair catch.
You can't signal fair catch on the ball that hits off the turf, though.
It didn't hit off the turf. That was straight up.
Oh, was it really? Okay. Then there was a legitimate beef.
Yeah. And even if they didn't hit him before he got it, it was that halo.
Okay.
But anyway, I think they had a legitimate complaint, but it didn't really matter.
Well, for the fact that it wasn't driven into the ground, is good eyesight by you there, Dennis. That was a good little pop-up effort by Lovett.
A nice little chip shot there. He'd been doing that a couple times early in the year and been fairly successful because if it gets there right at the same time, the running back, and a lot of times you've got a guy that's a running back that's not necessarily used to catching a punt, and will he fair catch it?
Well, the question of the fourth quarter now is, can Princeton's defense, worn down by Milan's running attack through this game, can they get a stop or two in this fourth quarter? They're going to have to. Now, we've been saying for a while here that Princeton's key to trying to win this ball game is they're going to keep the ball in the offense's hands and let that offense go to work here against Milan's defense. But if you're Milan, are you trying to score? Sure, but you're also trying to keep the ball away from Princeton.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've got to eat up some clock here. I mean, if you get a quick touchdown, of course, you get it. You're not going to turn that down. But, if you could eat up 6 or 8 minutes right here, it'd make it very difficult, even if you don't score, for Princeton to get back in it.
Been a couple of times this season I've been done with my Trenton game and I'll get back into the car or something like that, turn over to KTTN, and Dennis is about the middle of the fourth quarter. He said, well, either they had a lightning delay or the game's going long. I understand why now. But when Princeton throws the ball as much as they do, you get a lot of stoppages of the clock.
Yeah, definitely. They've been throwing the ball quite a bit.
20 minutes past 9, 9:07 to go, fourth quarter. The score is Milan 42, Princeton 27. Again, the situation is this. As far as a berth in the district championship game of District 6, a game that would be played Monday nights, we know that either Milan will host. Milan is the number 1 seed. They would host throughout districts. If Milan wins tonight, if Princeton wins, Princeton's a 4 seed, they would be on the road. But Princeton would much rather be on the road than not be anywhere. And your choices, if you're Princeton right now, are twofold. Either you go on the road or you're done. I know which one would be more enjoyable for the Tigers.
Well, no question about it. I don't know whether the discussion right now is more discussion about the clock. They did put set the clock back to 9:07, but I'm not sure that there was any acknowledgement of the fair catch signal. Either that or they consider the defensive player to be blocked into it. I'm not sure.
There was a collision there between two Milan players, one into the other. And your point may be valid that if the one Milan player was blocked into the other, would that be a penalty?
Well, that probably wouldn't be a penalty as much as whether the Princeton player trying to get to him was inside the halo or the collar within the
Jordan Eddy hands it off to Mason Thompson, running right side to the 40 to the 45 to midfield, and he's not ripped down, stays on his feet to the 45 to the 40, and he's ankle tackled at the 35-yard line. Houdini-like by Mason Thompson. Dennis, how did he break that tackle at the 47?
Well, they had him around the neck and just kept his feet churning, and I lost for words.
Well, it's a pretty good run. You or I would be in traction and be heading up to a Sullivan County Memorial if that would have happened to us. 1st and 10 for Milan on maybe the run of the game there by Mason Thompson down to the 35-yard line. Make it the 36. 9:15 to go in the fourth quarter. The touchdowns are coming about 50 seconds apart right now. As the handoff through the middle goes to Richardson, he bangs forward to the 32, and he's going to be stopped there by Princeton. A gain of 4. That feels like a victory for the Princeton defense with only 4 yards on the carry. And if you're Milan, you gain 4 yards, you pick up a first down every 3 plays.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it. They would love to run about 6 or 7 minutes off the clock right here.
Grind's the word that Coach Dabney's looking for right now. Would he take 6 on a 32-yard touchdown run? Certainly, but I think he'd almost be happier just grinding out about 4 minutes. 8.5 to go, fourth quarter. Cats over the Tigers, 42-27. Berth in the District 6 championship game goes to the winner. Eddy with a handout to Thompson, racing around the right end to the 30-25, 20 and out of bounds at the 12-yard line is Mason Thompson. They mark him out just inside the 11. 8:23 to go in the fourth quarter, and Milan is churning up yards. More often than not, double-digit yards per run here in the fourth quarter. And you've seen this story from the Wildcats in the second half this year against Knox County, Schuyler County, Scotland County, Putnam County. Milan is at their best in these put-away situations in the fourth quarter.
Well, they just, as we said earlier, they just continue to pound you with that running game, and there's only so much stamina you're going to have.
8:23 to go in the fourth. 1st and 10 from the 11-yard line for the Cats. Jordan Eddy hands it off Thompson around right end to the 10, stays on his feet to the 5, and he grinds toward the first down marker. I think he's going to have it down inside the 2, maybe even the 1-yard line. More like 2, it looks like. 8:05 to go in the fourth quarter. They may measure this, and Milan sideline may say, don't measure it, we want to keep the clock moving. Under 8 minutes to go. You're familiar with Milan, Dennis, from over the years. How big of a home field advantage, how much confidence does it give these Milan kids to know that more than likely if they can keep winning, they would go to the state quarterfinals without having to get on a bus?
That's very, very big. I mean, their fans are so good here. I mean, they continue to support these kids even through the tough years. There were a lot of them here.
Split backs, in fact, just one back now. Richardson behind Eddy. Quarterback sneak for Jordan toward the goal line. Touchdown! Milan Wildcats. 7:23 to go in the fourth quarter. A 1-yard touchdown run by Jordan Eddy keeps the scoreboard flashing and moving ahead. 48-27 now the lead for the Cats. 7:23 to go in the fourth quarter of play. And there was not a lot of flash for Milan. If Princeton is flash, Milan is meat and potatoes, and right now meat and potatoes is a pretty good dinner for Coach Dabney and the Milan Wildcats. Extra point by Palacios. It's on the way, and good. 7:23 to go in the fourth. The score is now Milan 49, Princeton 27. We're back to the pits in 30 seconds on KTTN FM 92.3.
How confident are you that was Jordan Eddy?
Very, as a matter of fact.
That's why I was asking, because I saw Aaron Richardson get up, and I thought potentially
Yeah, I think it was a quarterback sneak.
that's normally what he'd run in that situation.
Yeah, he looked like he did. He looked like he grabbed the ball and was straight forward.
I think you're probably right. I didn't see the exchange. I looked down, writing this down, and didn't see it.
Considering I didn't even think twice that it was, I'm about 95% confident.
Perfect.
Next round of the state playoffs will be the round of 16. There are 8 districts. After tonight, you'll have your district championship game set, so there'll be 16 teams left. You get to that point, you've done something pretty special. Milan is 7:23 from going 10-0 on the football season for the second consecutive year. Last year, it was a 10-0 regular season. before falling to West Rand in the playoffs. The boot by Palacios. It's going to be falled on by, maybe, Princeton has it. I don't know if falled on is the correct English on it, but Adam Milburn. It was an awkward of a description as an awkward grab of the football there by young Milburn.
That was kind of one of those croquet wickets that came at him, went right between the legs, and kind of one of those 12-year-old short-style plays.
I tell you, I'm sure you're like me. I played croquet all the time over at Grandma and Grandpa's house when I was a kid. And all I remember was, croquet's dangerous. You're playing against your cousins, and if somebody gets mad, they're going to bang you with that croquet stick right on your ankle.
Got a mallet right up the side of the head.
7:18 to go in the fourth. Rolling to his right is Hartley. Has some time. Now scrambles back to the left, and he's brought down at the 29-yard line. He will gain about 4 yards on that scramble. I tell you one kid who has been making Hartley's life miserable in the second half, Mason Thompson. He has been tracking Colton from one side of the field to the other since about the halftime locker room.
Well, and Thompson's actually playing nose guard. They kind of have a little five-man front there, but Thompson right over the center just out-quicks most offensive linemen.
6:44 to go. Hartley takes the low snap for Princeton, rolls to his right under pressure, throws, and it's incomplete. Good pressure on Colton that time by Bodie Eaglin.
That time Thompson came up and just kind of held his ground there and let him use a couple of offensive linemen to keep him out, and then Rush came from the backside.
Internet TV tonight on KTTN.com, brought to you by Rushmeyer Funeral Home in Milan, Servalink Home Care with locations in Milan and Princeton, and by Putnam County State Bank with locations in Milan and Unionville. Reinhardt Auto Parts in Milan and the Depot in Milan. GRM Telephone Princeton and the Princeton R5 School District. Low snap grab by Hartley, rolling to his right under pressure, throws incomplete. He was looking for Bell and overthrew Bell. And again, in on the pressure that time is Eaglin, 150-pound sophomore. One of the things I've asked Coach Dabney a couple times this year is, after this good run of football from Milan, is going to be back to some of the dark days of earlier in your tenure. He doesn't think so. There's a pretty good group of 7th to 10th graders at Milan that he thinks is going to help keep this tradition going.
There's some pretty good. The JV has been, I think they've only lost one game in JV. The junior high has been strong. Elementary is strong. I think the program is really getting tough from the basics on up.
The boot by Faulkner. He's under pressure, and he hit that one off the side of the foot. It goes into the Princeton sideline. There was pressure by Nathan McCabe, and you've seen it happen if you watch a lot of high school football. McCabe wasn't going to get the block, but Faulkner was well aware of McCabe as he kicked that football.
Yeah, and there's, once again, Princeton's kind of, I won't say they've given up here, but you can just tell by their body language and everything else. They're down 22 now with 6 minutes left, and Milan has the ball back. It's not looking good for the Tigers right now.
Now, Princeton needed to keep the ball in the offense's hands. At some point, Princeton needed to get the lead in the second half. It was a one-score game for a large portion of the third quarter, but Princeton couldn't ever get the game even, and the Milan running attack has just been taking a stranglehold of this ball game here over the early stages of the fourth quarter.
Well, and maybe once again, that kind of ground game, as we said earlier, just wears you out, and it's just a tough thing for the defense.
Handoff Richardson through the middle, 40 to the 39-yard line. Similarities, obviously. A lot of kids returned from Milan, and I know that the weather was a big factor when Milan played West Rand last year. Was the game? I'm going to say, obviously, the fact that Milan's offensive attack and the rain just stopped by West Rand that night.
Well, West Rand was probably better. They had a quarterback there that was just absolutely incredible, and they've got another one this year, the Jacoby kid. He's got over 1,000 yards rushing, 1,600 yards passing, and good double or triple threat. And that night, I don't think it mattered what ground, what kind of
quarterback last year was Buffington, wasn't it?
Right.
Yep. Yeah. Really good player. Handoff to Thompson, right side. He's to the 30, 25, 20, to the 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Wildcats. Mason Thompson on the sweep play. It goes 39 yards around right end, and it's 55 to 27. Milan over Princeton, and right now, you can tell that the want to for Princeton is there, but the body just isn't reacting as quickly for Princeton defensively as it was early. You can tell the boys are tired.
Well, yeah, and in many cases that's what happens. I mean, Milan just beats you to death through the whole game. They just keep pounding and pounding and pounding on you, and eventually those big plays start happening, and that's what's been a lot of their success all year.
5.5 to go. The extra point kick by Raul Palacios is up and good. It's Cats 56, Tigers 27, 5:25 to go in the fourth. Princeton gets the football when we come back to the pit in 30 seconds. You're tuned in to KTTN FM 92.3's District Playoff Football.
How long was that?
I had 39, but that was a guess on my part. I was looking, I saw the yard marker at the 39, and my first thought was it didn't seem like it was that far out. I could not have thought it was closer.
What was the one before that?
$5:25 to go in the fourth quarter. Milan had some pretty good rushing statistics at the half. Those rushing statistics are ballooning here in the fourth quarter.
There's no question about it. Thompson, 260 yards. Richardson, near 200. So
Here's the kick by Raul. A low kick is going to be fall on by Princeton at the 46-yard line. That's not what Palacios wanted to do with that. If you want to ground that kick, you don't want to hit one of the big boys up front, and he did. And Princeton's going to get great field position out of that kick with 5:33 to go in the fourth quarter.
yeah, there's no question that was not quite what they intended to do. It was off the legs. I think he was trying to skip it either between the two offensive players or at least down the sideline.
And the shotgun set is Hartley. Snap bounce to Colton, grabs it, steps into the throw down the heart of the defense, and overthrows Hunter Boxley. The pass incomplete down to the 30-yard line. 5:27 to go. Quarter number 4 is 56-27. Milan with the lead over Princeton, barring would be a pretty major miracle here for the Tigers. Milan looks like they wouldn't be tickets, but Wildcat fans look pretty secure now that you can make your plans to be here at the pit for a Monday night's district championship game.
Well, and right now, Hartley, you can tell the spirit's just gone away a little bit. He's off target on the last 2 or 3 passes.
Hartley scrambles, throws through the hands of Faulkner, and Brandt slaps his hands together in frustration. He had some room to run, too. He's at the 42. He could have gone up the sideline for a few more yards and just dropped that ball. That adds to the frustration for Princeton. Kind of what happens from time to time, too, Dennis. You just get to that point where you know that the season's slipping away, and for whatever reason, your focus just slips for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it was. He's trying to make a big play, trying to make something happen. He's been such an important part of the Princeton offense tonight.
3 of the 4 touchdowns on passes to Faulkner tonight. 3rd and 10. Again, the snap rolled to Hartley. Steps into the throw. Looking down the far side, and the ball incomplete at the 12-yard line. Ball intended for Faulkner. In on the coverage, Caleb May.
I think Caleb May's been doing maybe a little bit better job defending Faulkner tonight. The last touchdown pass that Princeton got, they put another receiver outside, and Caleb May switched with him and kept Jordan Eddy on Faulkner, and Eddy just couldn't keep up with the speed of Faulkner. But once again, at that time, Hartley had all day to throw. The last couple of passes have just been, other than the drop by Faulkner, just been off target.
Yeah, you can tell the spirit and maybe just the writing on the wall is there for Princeton right now as the Tigers even down this much, going to punt the football away. Faulkner boots it with 5:09 to go in the fourth. The ball is going to land at the 25-yard line. It's going to roll into the direction of the Cats. And picking up the ball is Tristan Fowler. He's back to the 19-yard line and whipped down there by Joseph Lovett of Princeton. A rude toss down to the field, completely legal by Lovett against Fowler, as Fowler gives up about 100 pounds to Big Joseph.
Well, that was good coverage by Joe to get down there that quick, and you can't blame Joe. It's just one of those things that good legal head, just a little frustration, get a chance to take a look.
Grab him by the shoulder pads and toss him down to the ground, and it's 275 against 175.
Absolutely.
So we talked a little bit earlier off air, Dennis. It's going to be Salisbury or Marceline against Milan, and they're kind of two football teams that are a little bit different, and they each would present their own difficulties for Milan.
Well, there's no question throw through the air, go through the air a little bit.
Hand off Thompson. He rumbles forward across the 25 to the 30, out to the 33-yard line for a gain of 12 as we go under 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Wildcats leading Princeton by a score of 56-27.
And once again, Salisbury, I know, can throw the ball. I think they spray the ball out a little bit more, but they've also got a couple of good running backs. Which one to face, it's going to be tough.
I would guess, just from kind of knowing the athletes, and maybe this is just going off of, I think people think Marceline and they think big, rough, tough running attack. Would Salisbury have a little bit more speed that could threaten Milan?
Well, I thought that at first of the year, but it looks like Marceline's developed a little bit more speed. Belzer kid's pretty quick. Dakota Lewis is pretty quick. Those are a couple of names from last year that have done a good job.
Hand off to Richardson out across the 35 to the 37-yard line. He picks up 4 yards on the carry. 4:20 to go in the fourth quarter. It looks like the Wildcats are going to be more than happy right here with just handing the ball off to Richardson and to Thompson, either on the sweep or the run through the middle, and just try to run clock and get themselves to the locker room with a win.
Yeah, I think they'd like to just take the rest of this down. I'm sure they don't want to score anymore. They rub it in Princeton right now because Princeton gave them all they wanted for 3 quarters.
Under 4 to go. Milan up by 29 points. A game that was a lot closer than the score indicates right now as the handoff comes to Sinclair. Cuts at the 40 to the 45 to midfield. He is in the clear. 30, 25, one man to beat. He jukes to the 10 and he's brought down at the 9. Able to slow down the running back just enough was Vince Jennings of Princeton. Still a long run by Brett Sinclair. If he wasn't already, that has to put him over 100 yards, right?
Getting close.
That was a good 51 yard carrier in that area for Brett Sinclair of Milan. First and goal coming up for the Wildcats from the 9-yard line.
84 yards for Sinclair.
And pretty sure in saying that both Thompson and Richardson are well over 100 yards.
Thompson is about 270 yards, Richardson 170.
You run the ball like that, you're going to have a lot of success in high school football.
Yep, absolutely.
That's the name of the game, even in 2012. If you run the ball that effectively, you're going to win more often than not.
Especially when they know you're doing it.
Handoff comes right side, cutting against the grain to the 5 is Mason Thompson. We've seen a clean game offensively from Milan, too. We saw a little bit of a bobble of a snap earlier in the half that Jordan Eddy was able to grab. Other than that, there's been very little that, Princeton had the big faux pas early where they had a bad snap that resulted in a touchdown. We haven't seen that big mistake from Milan's offense.
No, they really haven't. They did have one interception, but it wasn't a big turnover. Didn't cause a lot of problems. Worked out the same as a punt, and so it just a pretty good, well-played game.
As has been the case, so many games for Milan this year, the opponent can stay with Milan for about 2.5, 3 quarters, but Milan dominating the fourth, and that is the case tonight as Richardson takes the ball down to the 3, runs into Lovett. Joe knocked him backwards at that point as we get a flag on the play with 2:45 to go in the fourth quarter. We will be right here Monday night. Shot block called, by the way, against the Cats. Seen a handful of those this season. That is a not good penalty. Made a little bit more or less not good, I guess, would be the way I'm trying to say it there, because Milan's up by 29, but still 15-yard penalty. That's a no-no if you're an offensive lineman.
Basically all that is where you go low while somebody's already engaged with the defensive player. Sometimes that's accidental. You get knocked down and you decide to go after it. Sometimes it's a good way to cut them. Used to, that was the cut block like that was legal, but not when they're engaged with somebody else.
And it's a pretty good call, because there's no way that a defender can protect himself from that if he's already engaged.
No, that's where a lot of knee injuries came for a lot of years, and it can still happen, but they keep such a good eye on it anymore that rarely is where the injury happens.
15-yard penalty puts the ball back to the 18-yard line. 56-27, Milan with the lead. 2:20 to go in the fourth. Handoff to Thompson around right hand. He's to the 20, the 15, knocked down at the 14. Well, credit to these Princeton kids, too. I mentioned earlier, it looks like the effort is there, but the body just isn't working as well. With the defensive players have been out there a long time, but Braden Donaldson, he's one of the seniors that's playing his last game tonight for the Tigers. He came over to make the stick there with 1:53 to go in the fourth.
Well, Princeton's got a pretty good sized line, but they were also real loaded. Tyler Phillips up there, Cass, Smith. You start getting a bunch of those kids. Jeremiah Chips has done a real good job. Donaldson, Phelps. I mean, a lot of good quality on that defensive line.
Third and goal. The handoff goes to Sinclair. He cuts at the 10 and is roped down at the 9-yard line. It's been a good year for Princeton. It's going to end with a record of 6-5. But looking forward, it's not a huge senior class. There's just not a lot of kids on the roster. But when you look at a Colton Hartley, a Vince Jennings, a kid like a John Medford that are on this Princeton team as seniors. Obviously, Hartley's your big loss as quarterback. But Princeton, they just need to find guys who are going to replenish this program because it's hard if you're going 15, 20 per year. A, you're going to be tired and worn down, and B, you can't afford any injuries.
Well, that's very much so. And Faulkner actually played like quarterback last year. Started out at the beginning of the year this year playing center.
We're on left side, and that sweep play is going to send Milan to another 6 points. Mason Thompson on 4th and goal from the 9. He just took the ball on the sweep and outraced the blue and white to the pylon. And it is now 62-24. Wildcats on top with 43 seconds to go in quarter number 4.
Well, and that's one of those plays right there where short of just taking a knee, you don't want to give it back to Princeton. They're sometimes not trying to do something that's almost as hurtful as just running your normal play. It's not like they were throwing the ball or anything like that. So,
And Raul Palacios with the kick. It's on the way, and it is good. 43 seconds to go in the 4th quarter. A game that was very tight for 3 quarters. Milan has pulled away in the 4th. It's Wildcats 63, Tigers 27. Back to finish this one up in 30 seconds on KTTN FM 92.3. TNT locker room show. If we can get this game done by 10 o'clock, I think we will. Well, we made it awfully tight. A lot of scoring, a lot of offense tonight. Milan 63, Princeton 27, 43 ticks to go in the 4th quarter. Raul Palacios with likely final kickoff of the night for Milan. That ball is going to be taken by Princeton on a knee at the 31-yard line by Adam Milburn.
it's now a continuous clock. This went from a
You're right, yeah.
35-20 game to now a 63-27 in just 1 quarter.
6-5 will end the season for Princeton. And if you look at the 5 teams that Princeton lost to this year, you're talking about 5 really good football teams.
Absolutely.
South Harrison's in that group. Polo's in that group. Gallatin is in that group. Milan's in that group twice. And Milan's going to be 10-0 after tonight. It's the second trip of the season for Princeton down here as the teams will shake hands here at the end of this battle from the pit tonight. Like the sportsmanship here from both sides as Milan just kind of exerted its will in the 4th quarter. The Wildcats got a tremendous test here tonight from a very, very determined Princeton team that ran out of gas a little bit by the end of the night. Final score, Milan Wildcats 63 and the Princeton Tigers 27. Stay tuned. Postgame starts in 2 minutes. You've been listening to Missouri Class 1 District 6 semifinal football live from Milan on KTTN FM 92.3.
It was 28-20 into the 3rd.
So, yeah, Milan scored
35